and it's not necessarily all within their own hands either. We're in a very strange position where some of the teams will be hoping on other results taking shape, but all they can do is make sure that they get it done on the server and they let that talking do the work for them and put themselves in that best possible position.
Yeah, you got to get out there, beat whatever opponent's in front of you, be ready for the potential outcome of 2 BO3s in one day and show that you've got the stock for it, because of course that slot of the major does not come easy, and with 8 of the 10 players in the server looking to attempt to make their first major, Vince, there's a lot riding on this one.
Oh, massive. We saw yesterday the elation, the tears, the emotion that Snow and the rest of Pain showed when they managed to make it, and you better believe it means just as much to each and every single player on the server right now. Bestia starting on the CT side. They have touched on this, that maybe Bestia are a bit of a kryptonite team for M80. M80 losing twice, but it was against Complexity. In that best of 3, they got kind of slapped around a little bit, but fair enough, it is Complexity with Elish popping off. But what can they do now on this T half? Noxy forced back. I think he did just see a pixel of a player on the approach. Dials it back to Long alongside Naz. Smoke now deployed and M80 looking to get aggressive.
Noxy waiting for the run out on the site. If he was close ramp, he would have been barbecued, but luckily enough, he's in position to try and deal damage. Up close, it's Lake, the entry machine that goes in. Picked off by the USPs. First frag's good for Bestia. Trade straight back. Bit of damage on the bomb site. Post plant developing, but the shots are connecting. Rek equalizes and brings us back into the 2v2.
Slack's out. Last man standing, but only 31 HP to his name. Surviving that barrage of bullets somehow, only taking 15 damage in the process. So still alive, still in the fight. That smoke's going to be a problem though, as he needs to come out, but there is no kit in between these two CTs, so they've got to get a move on. Tickling the bomb right now, trying to go for that full defuse, and there is Thomas in once again, on point to deliver the bodyguard frag, and Bestia will successfully claim first blood.
Pistol round secured. Great way to kick things off. And for Thomasin, you touched on it a little bit there. If this is a trend that's going to continue, if this man finds his form early, he really does come alive. He has been dominating over the course of the Americas RMR, and he did the last time they went head-to-head as well. Ridiculous stats looking back on them, Vince. Thomas in the second series they played over the course of 3 maps was 70-46, sporting a 94 ADR, 1.42 rating, and he has not fallen off. Swisher, fast out on Long here, taking the fight, does get the early entry onto Naz.
Yeah, with Sin and Slacks kind of dropping off a little bit, as they touched on the desk, it has been up to the likes of Swisher to maybe up his level. We know Lake is typically a consistent player for M80, but Swisher has been pulling out a couple of shifts here and there alongside Rek. We saw his impact in the pistol round. Early 1-for-1 trade, Luchov taking quite a bit of damage though, down on his M4A1S. Falling back to the site where he will meet Lake. Need to make sure they don't line up for him. Spots the second head. And Noxy now under heavy duress. 4 players for the T's moving in, but Thomas in. There's the aggression we were talking about. Straight into the face of Sin and goes one better. Down to low HP, finalized by Rak, who goes into a 1v1 with just 55 seconds to try and make a decision. I think he's heard Noxy's footsteps as well. I think he knows that he's up on mid.
He's got the read. Audio cue gives the game away, knows he can take his pace slowly towards the A site. Does his due diligence with a look down onto CT in case it was a bit of a bait and switch and he was setting up for the close angle. He'll guarantee himself the plant, throw himself into the 1v1. Quick clear, confirmation that it's the A site, wrap back around from Noxy. 54 health to his name, M4 in his hands, it'd be his second frag. Losing this one, it will be a sore way to start off the game. For M80, it could be a great way to kick the doors straight open. Rek backs off towards Goose and tucks in.
Oh, so much time's already depleted off the fuse. I just think he's took way too much time here, Noxy, even if he gets the kill at this point. And he has to jump out to the open because of how long that took. M80 secure the equalizing blow, Rek up to 5 already. And Bestia, they had chances there though, Jackie. They found that window twice with Thomasin's MP9 push. Still unable to capitalize.
Yeah, Thomasin on mid felt like he could do no wrong, right? It was very uncomfortable in the first fight, turns it around, gets 2 of them. Thought he had done enough there. But not meant to be. So from the pistol round, it's punishment back from M80, and we do go 1-1. Cash flow problems will arrive because of it, so CT side got to make the best of the buy. Investment into Deagles, 5-7, scout on Noxy, he takes the peak mid. Land a couple tags, soften them up, and look for those conversions a little bit later. M80 can afford to play a far slower round here.
Yeah, exactly. Just waste the time. Try and deploy as much of that utility from the CTs as possible. They may be feeling compelled to make a move and walk into a bit of a trap. Flashbang into peak. Lake fully blinded, but using the alcove as a bit of sanctuary. With a teammate just behind him in the form of Sin, who did take the brunt of the damage. He's good to go. Smoke also deployed. Bestia doing a solid job, though, of wasting a whole bunch of time. Minute now left. This is where you expect M80s to start to shift through the gears and get a bit more aggressive.
The flashbang over the top could really set them up for some aggression on the CT side, and Luchov with the backstab onto the head of Sin does at least slay the first man. Uncontested on response as well, and look at the chip damage done. Rex low, Slack's taking a big slap straight to the face as well, left on 31. You've only got 34 seconds left on the timer. Paranoid about where the next peak's going to be coming from, and the timing on it for Lake could be brutal. Oh, still finds his man. Goes back down. They've shifted this one over towards the B site, but Thomasin is waiting.
He's got a deagle alongside him as well. There's no flash. There is a smoke, but they deal with him on the cross. You can see him looking down, trying desperately to survive. He's been evicted from his home on B. Alongside the rest of Bestia with 7 seconds left, they start to dial in the digits, and they snatch this round away. It was looking like the pop flash into peak on the 5-7s on middle was the key to success for Bestia, but M80 not panicking, making sure they dial in towards the end of the round and they get their man. And they get their round on top of it. But there are warning signs being shot out here from Bestia. Even in these low eco rounds, they're still pressuring M80.
Oh,
wow.
Felt that one, didn't you? God damn, Noxy. Fair play to Swisher, though, Vince. It seemed like, you know, the storyline being that Sax and Slin, that's definitely not how it said, have been playing, you know, a little bit off-kilter compared to how they usually do and what we'd sort of expect from them in this kind of environment. Swisher's been the one that's been stepping up. We saw that before, the last outing we had from 80. It was him and then Lake as well. Lake was so aggressive, right? Really explosive with his entries. He was taking space, creating a lot of initial openings for the team. And again, in this round, even with such little time left on the clock, Swisher's the one that gets the two-piece to give them control towards the bomb site. Scary round, but a round nonetheless.
Well, there'll be many, many more from where that came from today, I'm sure. As Slacks gets nailed by the scout. Noxy seems so on point with his gun. Missing out this time around, though, and Luchov will pay the price. Lake dispatches of him. Spills blood on catwalk side. And Noxy is undeterred. He wants to stay in this position as long as possible, anticipating a lower ton peak. Not forthcoming, though, from M80, who are backing to the spawn. Another slow and steady round. Understandable. They know that the economy for Bestia is rough. You don't want to just run headfirst into a potential stack. Take your time.
And they've got that luxury. Range advantage to work with. Just under a minute on the clock. Slowly make your play up. Out through long. Head towards the A site. The pistols are on the roam. They've cleared out upper. No one lurking. So they can see if they can make it a little bit more costly at least, especially Noxy on the scout. We saw previously how crisp he was, but timing could be tight to get up on the bomb site and find an angle. Forced to drop off. They've already slipped in through ramp. Pepper and bat the bullets. The USPs want to swing together. They go for the cheeky boost. Oh, so brutal. Nearly denying onto the bomb plant, but wrecked with two. And following on from that, it's just Zoc that gets the trade back. Double down, Vince, but no more.
Oh, I'm not sure on the timing on that, but I think he got tagged just before he pulled the trigger and the aim punch wrecked him for Noxy. It looked like that was going to be a headshot for sure and deny the bomb plant, but the bodyguard system in full swing. M80 in tandem, high-fiving into a 3-1. They're going to have to deal with M4s now. No AWP. which will be a bit of a body blow if you're on Bestia. You want that up as quickly as possible. We saw yesterday NQZ have so much impact with it on the CT side, and as though Slack sees multiple players crossing, it's more information than anything else. Now lower tons, he definitely spotted Noxy there. So this is allowing Rec to be privy to that information alongside Lake. They're not going to get caught out in an awkward spot here. They bypass any of that early aggression. They force the CTs back.
He was aware he had been seen, so backed off. They throw the nade out, trying to reel in the players that were looking for the trade onto lower. Instead, Noxy, from his advanced position, he's able to get another one. And it's Lake that goes down early. He can be a real big piece of this M80 team. He has Nitro for breakfast. He goes out, he blows up the server at times. He's able to hit heavy on the entries. So if they can cool him off, try and keep him isolated, that's one of the ways they can find a way into these rounds.
You know, we were just discussing Thomasin before, like how dominant he's been. The only player with higher rating over the tournament is NQZ, but he's played one more map than Thomasin. But on his T side, he's averaging 95.5 damage per round on his T halves. That is outrageous. A 52% kill participation on the T rounds as well, as Noxy finds the perfect timing, shutting Swisher down from the back. 30 seconds now to try and execute on the site, but Naz is in position, laid in wait with his M4.
Shot's good onto Slacks. First man falls, Rec replies. But time's ticking and low health could be the problem maker for them. They look for the instant plant. Thomasin with the engage up. Sin on the flick back, but you're vastly outnumbered. They collapse onto him. And there's a round for Bestia. They took the pistol. It all got a bit bumpy following that. But back in. 3-2.
And on top of that as well, just to add a little bit more color to how solidly Thomasin is performing, especially on those T sides. Nearly 25% rounds with a multi-kill. That is such a ridiculous stat to have at this level of Counter-Strike. With this much pressure on the line, Noxy, while Flash still pulls the trigger and silences Rec on that push.
Some nice impact. He's keeping you guessing with the way he's approaching it right now. Towards mid, towards long, playing with the tempo, using the spawn. Great shot as well. So another round where you find the first pick and there's no room for M80 to get a quick trade. Goes uncontested.
Everything just slows down, as you'd expect, because I mean, Rec has been the guy that's been throwing hands and connecting more often than not. 124 ADR going into this round with 10 frags. So it's up to Slacks now to try and deliver, and he shall at great cost to his own health, however. And again, mid has been a problem. Luchov this time gets aggressive, catching Swisher, and a second player too. Lake had no idea. I think there was flashes being tossed in as well. And amongst the extremities of Catwalk, and now Slacks is dialed in a second frag, and the post plant will be coming to fruition. But with him falling by the wayside, Sin now in a 1v3, cannot weather the storm. And he goes down with the bomb, 3-3. I'm loving this aggression from Bestia though.
Yeah, they've woken up early. I was a little bit worried. But immediately they've shown they can answer back, keeping them guessing with the fights they're going for. And the lurk from Luchov straight round the back line. Even getting the follow-up onto Lake as well. So heavily committed, expecting the push towards short. Just get shot in the side of the face. And they tie it back up. 3-3 split. This was the opener. Really nice connection there.
I think it's about how solidly Thomasin is playing on the CT side. 64% rounds with a kill. So he's doing it on both sides of the equation. There is no escaping this man. Depth now in conversation with the troops. Seems pretty animated.
Yeah. Throwing the hands up. The fingers are coming out. I feel like that was always one of his strengths as well. Like, he does get his point across very well. Quite a commanding voice as well, Vince.
He's an articulate guy as well. Like, he knows what he wants, how to get the best out of people. And that's exactly the kind of leadership and coach that you need at a time like this. So much on the line. A place at the Major, up for grabs. M80, favorites coming into this game for sure. But as we've already discussed, when it comes to the stats between these two teams, in the last 3 months, by the way, it's 4 maps to 1 in favor of BESTIA. And you can understand why with how often they're catching the T's out in these weird positions on middle. 1-4 trade, though, is going to open the door to B, but Thomasin is there to lock it back down again. Swisher with 1, and Zoc seem to have no idea that they're already up close. He's found and fragged, and suddenly a 2v2 retake comes in.
Seemed like it should have been easy, but instead it's anything but. And now Swisher and Slacks are both armed. Luchov looking to aggress, has the HE with support of Naz up close and personal by the window. HE over the front line. Slacks' angle could be so brutal, but Naz goes straight in and finds both of them. Single point of health. Nice response on the retake. And a 4th round confirmed.
I think they fear the worst a little bit there when the Tech-9 running gun yielded the post plant, but Naz on point with his 1 HP, and Luchov able to save the AWP and give that one across to Noxy in this. We saw him landing a bunch of shots with the scout. Now he's got the upgrade. Oh, they've gone in, they've double dipped. It's a dual AWP setup in round 8. Slacks has got his hands on 1 as well, but he's not quite had the impact we'd be looking for from an AWPer. To be fair to him, though, he's been, for the most part, playing with rifles so far.
First outing with the AWP. We'll see if that changes things. Pixel peeking. Filthy angle up towards short. But it's Zoc keeping them guessing. And you can see in the previous round, it's the first time we saw Lake be able to play with a little bit of space out towards middle. Those are the kind of plays he makes. He's very aggressive. He'll try and find those first picks, find a way in for M80, but they're keeping him isolated, and Swisher continuing to find impact. Great reactions again, resets the round 4-on-4. They've got a posture off, don't want to give away another pick for free. He lost the early advantage. Slow it down a little bit.
Had a lot of success early on this half when they did slow things down. They weren't hemorrhaging players in the first 20, 25 seconds. Sin now flash, more designated to allow him to cross to the Xbox and get up on catwalk alongside Swisher. Luchov flash out, going to go for a peek behind that one and find that no one is home for the tees. So M80 systematically opening themselves up. That's a solid grenade though. Tenderizing 3 on the approach. And Luchov now in a good spot here to just watch, relay information for his teammates. If he can get a kill or 2 out of this, it could be good enough.
Smoke wall up, Luchov on the off angle, boosted up by the box. He's got protection by the AWP, but he might not need it. He's the bodyguard of the bomb site now. Sin will silence him. From a 3v3, it's down to a 2v2. Nice nade from Thomasin, clap straight back, time ticking away. They've got to be speedy about this one. Trying to slip on. Rex looking for the wrap round. Good read with the Molotov, force him out of position, bait him in. Thomasin down, bomb being planted. Noxy looks for the deny with a wallbang. Slightly off target, couldn't fully commit to it. That one's going to connect.
Oh, if he hits that first shot, Jackie, with the kill, it's round over. There was 4 seconds left on the clock. No way that Rek would have got across to pick up the bomb. But he's going to do as much damage on his way out, knowing the economy is still tender and fragile. So these shots that are being connected is a problem as he comes back in again, now anticipating, like, hold up, I could even outright win this round. I potentially weaken Slacks to try and finish him off. Or at least take him down with the bomb. At this point, Slacks is a dead man, whatever happens. He's going to win the round, but it will be at the cost of his life. This is going to be a hefty rebuy for M80. You get the round, but everyone around that $4,000 mark, you will not be able to afford another AWP coming into this one.
Outcome on that one works out pretty well. Even though you let it loose, it slips through the fingertips, like you say. It was the first time we saw Slacks be able to afford the AWP and bring it out. Couldn't hit the mark with the weapon. Falls at the end there due to the bomb blast, so no rebuy on that. He's down to a scout instead. Quite back and forth for the moment as well in the first half. This is what we wanted from this one, Vince.
Oh, absolutely. Coming into this game today, I think a lot of people would have maybe looked at M80, looked at BESTIA and thought, yeah, pretty straightforward for M80. They're playing against some top caliber opposition. They've had a lot of very good results over the last 6 or so months. But that doesn't paint the full picture as to how this game's come down. Some of those key players have been off kilter. Slacks and Sin Sure, they've got some kills in this one. I don't think either of them have quite hit that 8-game position just yet. Thomasin's had glimpses, but it's mainly been Noxy, I would have to say, over on Bestia, with the Scout and AWP that's just put so much damage in, been a real pain in the backside. And although there is a Scout for Slacks, heavy smoke wall denies him any real intel. 4 players up on long. Oh, they want to get hot and heavy. They want to push straight out through the smoke.
Pedal to the metal. Take long control early. Still got a boatload of nades to work with as well. Molly onto the car, flash around the corner. Cross is covered. Grouping back up towards the short angle here. And Sin covering for the lurk. They peek out for the info. Get a visual on his angle, know where he is. They can attempt to swarm him together. They dive out. Cause the crosshair to flick off the angle we wanted to cover. Zoc with the pickup. 5 versus 4. Thinking about the retake now. Slacks playing from pit this time. Watching for the run out on long. It'd be Naz that goes up against him. Rest of the squad running in.
Oh, the flash. It did affect Swisher, but they weren't up close enough for the extremity of the smoke to punish him. And with that double, that's the round done. No real utility. They tossed all of it in on that catwalk play. You could see what they were going for, but Swisher's off angle was so powerful. And he made the most of it. He continues to impress on this off. M80 will be taking the lead once more. Looks like Bestia will be able to hold on to these 2 weapons. Tons of cash just a couple of rounds ago, and now they're down to just pennies and cents.
It's been really nice watching some of the plays from Swisher as well, both the M80 games that we had.
Don't tell me what to do.
I still remember, man, in this very room, Vince, the 1v5 near AWP clutch, right, on Ancient with Swisher.
Oh, yeah.
Where he was just going absolutely ballistic. Really had, like, the play of the RMR. This man could do some wonderful things. Always fun to watch.
Just love that as well. Looks across. Don't tell me what to do. Jovial. He's, like, obviously joking, but... yeah, when you're balling, just let him cook a little bit. And this half is kind of in the balance right now for Bestia. I mean, realistically, M80, they could cruise to an 8-4 lead. Noxy, though, once again with the AWP delivering when it's required, when it's needed most. On the cross, he may get picked off, though, by Sin, as no one was home on catwalk. I do love the switch of pace in that previous round as well from M80 after being conditioned so many rounds in a row for very slow T-half. Bestia get caught by a straight-up rush through on long. And it looks like more of the same here. They've lost their AWP. No player can possibly go and pick that one up anytime soon. Although 2 are going to try from long. Luchov also bested. And that should be the 6th round coming to fruition.
It's Sin on the site. You got the M4 in their hands, but instant decapitation on the flick back towards Thomasin. Taking the 1v3 and they're giving him the 1v1s. Switches to the Glock burst fire as well. He's doing it like a gangster. Posted up real cool, but the USP will find him. And Zoc, can you make this any more costly? Lake's here, lurking around the backside. A couple taps straight to the face. And off the back of that, M80 climbed to 6.
And they get the AWP as well. Very nice. Can drop that across to Slacks. A bit more damage than I think M80 were anticipating, but they're on the home stretch now, just this round and the next. And they got plenty of money to supply an arsenal of weaponry for both. Same could not be said of Bestia, though. Again, they're going to be without the AWP. Interestingly, Noxy electing to go for an M4 over the Scout. We've seen him use that a lot already on this first half. Good spawn for Slacks, but the flash is good alongside the molly. And that's going to force him back.
We've already seen what sort of caliber of damage Noxy can do with the scope in his hands. So we'll see just how far he can take it with a rifle. And Zoc on the jiggle. Incinder in his hands. If he gets contact, instantly dash that one down, peel back, buy yourself a bit of time. Try and isolate him on the push. Smoke walls are up, waterfalls to block the entry. They run straight through it, flashbang out. It's Thomasin. Smoke in his eyes. Teammates dying all around him. Needs an opportunity to make the play, but eventually as he peeks in, Slacks delivers.
He had a chance. It was fleeting. But the way he's been playing, you expect him to get a kill or 2 out of that one, but didn't quite work out, didn't quite pan the way he was hoping for. And the same can be said for Naz as well. Frustrating for him, FAMAS in hand, can't really do anything, can't even really upgrade this gun. Needs to back away and have something to play with into the final round of the half. To put it in perspective as well, by the way, because it feels like Noxie's landed so many shots, but he's on 9 kills. He does have 109 ADR. He's just been chipping away the health bars round after round, just really unlucky not to have someone there to finish off the weakened players.
Yeah, we saw that with some of the scout tags, the pistol tags. His aim was looking crisp. As Tom is in, there was the meme machine we were setting up coming into this one. He has been soaring very high throughout the Americas RMR.
I wonder what Naz was looking at there. He just had a quick pop-up, a document maybe, some strats.
Yeah, it's the new, well, it's not exactly new anymore, but you know, like when Steam brought that feature in where basically you can pin notes inside of Steam.
Yeah.
So a lot of teams are doing this now because it is very handy. You just hit Shift-Tab, you've got everything.
Sure.
So you can have all your strats in there, anything potentially useful, right? I've seen some people that do it with pictures as well built in where you can have nade lineups on hand alongside the strats. So another one of those features that Valve have owned. Always innovating, Vince.
Oh, excuse me, it wasn't Naz. I think it was Zoc. Uruguayan flag on the back of his chair. Should have gave that one away. My apologies. But there is the scout. Let's see if the fortunes would change a little bit. Double up set up on the T side for the last round. Spray a little bit labored, but Lake gets his man all the same. That's all that matters. And although there is a skulking, stalking player in the smoke in the form of Zoc, he's backed out of there now once it starts to fade away. May have missed his chance.
Slacks. He gets the connection back out onto Noxie. BESTIA really put under the pressure here into the 12th. Looking like if this was going to go 7-5, it'd have to be something absolutely miraculous from this point forward. There's low HP on Lake, but he's got backup still. Thomasin throws in the flash, postures off from it. They're taking space towards long at least and getting a bit of a read on the round. If they go out through mid here, maybe there's room. I mean, Thomasin up close and personal. With the timing on the backstab from Naz, maybe you could still make a play. They fire out the warning shots. It baits them out through mid. They turn their attention towards top. Thomasin strikes onto one. The B site is open.
It looked a bit scrappy there from Naz's perspective, but he had to do something because they're about to get round the corner. He was about to miss his chance. And it looks as though it won't end up mattering a great deal. 8-4 will be the score as the touchdown nade lands flush to the face of Naz. And M80, after a bit of a scrappy mid-portion of that half with 3 consecutive rounds going the way of BESTIA, they recovered and they replenished their stamina and pushed towards a very convincing first half lead. It's going to be hard to see how BESTIA can bounce back from this.
Makes it feel a bit worse for Wear as well when you factor in, of course, they won that opening pistol. You got the reset. Then they nearly found their own reset, sort of flip-flop round, straight back in, went down to like a 1v2. So there was potential to squeeze more out of the half. But M80 giving them limited opportunities towards the tail end. It's so nice to see, isn't it? Rory Jackson. He's giving it. He's got the dance moves.
Yeah, I was going to say.
He's got the jazz hands.
He's on the dance floor right now. He's loving it.
He's in Pipe World, mate.
I still have so much respect. You remember when M80 had some issues? I'm not sure if it was a visa problem or if a player was sick, and Depth just basically sat in last second.
Yeah, they nearly made it.
And they actually top ranked a couple of maps as well. It was crazy.
Yeah. No, that was crazy. Back at Copenhagen RMRs. Yeah. Hell of a storyline. All of the UK scene getting behind him. It's got to be done. What's not to love about Rory Jackson?
CT side coming up now for M80. Lake on double digits alongside Rek. Meanwhile, nobody has hit that level on BESTIA, although Noxie has been flirting with it quite a few times. Will they be able to get any kind of success to kick things off? Will we have a double up on pistol rounds for BESTIA? They claim first blood. Can they go one better? Thomasin getting aggressive now. Up close, he's playing anti-flash. Smoke down. Slacks wants to go and have a look. Needs to tread lightly, but finds the headshot through the smoke and doing a bit of chip damage to Zoc as well. Rek gets bested on the site though, and it's going to allow the T's to potentially just fully commit now. Get that plant down as fast as possible.
All right, Bestia, can you go 2 for 2 on the pistols? Give yourself a springboard, close that gap early, and don't let things snowball for M80. 1 free split, 1 player coming out through short side. Noxy throws the fadeaway flash back onto long, slows them down. Sin instantly slumped out by Luchov. And this is not going to get any easier for the CTs, and Luchov continues to strike. Oh my, the P250 ripping them to pieces.
2 pistols now in the backpack of Bestia, with a golden opportunity to close the gap, bring the deficit to 0. M80 will have a couple of things to say about that and a couple of scouts from what I just spotted, but I think they've actually dropped one of those across the slacks from Lake's hands. So 2 MP9s, 5.7s in play as well. Yeah, that was some exquisite P250 work from Luchov. Up to 10 he will fall alongside Zoc. Just what Bestia were looking for. Slacks the meanwhile. Speculative shots through on the smoke. Nothing connecting. Apart from onto Sin, who's dropped to nearly below half health.
That's the sole defender of the B-bomb site. Wanted to play up close and personal with a 5.7, get the cheeky taps off straight to the face. Instead, he's wrapping out. Wants to set himself up close left on mid. Take that control back towards short. They invest 1 flash to set themselves up for it. Slacks tucks in on the off angle towards Shoxy. Rest of the squad can roam on in. Sin, he's got to find impact here. Overwhelmed, and now B-bomb site is completely barren, but Swisher flicking again with the assist of Rek. It's only Luchov that denies onto Lake, and Naz with the fadeaway shots.
Oh man, you saw those bullets whizzing by Luchov's head, and he's low HP, he's on 3. It looked like for a second, as soon as they lost the first player in the form of Sin, it would be a save. But that 5.7 would have opened their eyes to the prospects of a stolen round. Instead, Slacks will have to hold on to the scout, and he will be backing out to save. I'm not sure if he picked up a 5.7 from one of his teammates as a sidearm. You could obviously toss that across to a teammate going into the next one as well. Not sure if he was able to get out there into the lion's den. Either way, he will be the sole survivor more than likely, as Bestia have drawn us back to just a 2-round deficit. 6 rounds now on the board. And it's not that Thomasin has had a bad game, kind of a victim of his own success, realistically. In fact, Slacks may not survive. He's being pushed down and hounded. It was only Naz. Very nice. So he will hold on to his scout. It's not that Thomasin's played bad here, Jackie. It's just that he's been so damn good throughout the entire rest of the tournament. It feels like he's dropped off just a tad. But as I mentioned earlier, his T-round impact has been outrageous. He is so good on this half. So I'd expect to see him step it up quite a bit here.
Yeah, find your footing. Set the pace of the game a little bit with the AK in your hands. Just make sure you keep things in check here. Don't want any upsets against the light investment from M80 with the pistols surrounding the saved scout for Slacks. It's Lake taking a ton of damage as well. Strong breeze could blow him over at this point. 12 HP on the back of the bomb site. Swisher's nearby to assist. Rek tucking in towards Longhouse as well. It's Zoc that needs to find him. Smoke dissipates, instant frag. Connects that one, shuts him down. And again here, looking like you could build off the back of this now. Got a manpower advantage, play with the pace. Bombs back in spawn as well, so no free information.
Yeah, Rek really starting to slow down just a tad. He was one of the main players for M80, resting on him in those first 5 or 6 rounds. I think at one point it was like 12-4, 13-10 now. Once those rifles come into play, expect to see him start to deliver once more. They're taking their sweet time, are Bestia, taking a leaf out of the playbook of M80 perhaps. They have the wraparound option onto B, which would see Lake on just 12 HP to try and withstand an almost impossible task. Smoke beginning to fade. It's not looking good for Lake. living on borrowed time, and Luchov will collect.
So the T side working pretty well for him thus far. Oh, hello, Slacks. Any more? He's looking for him. Getting the little tags out. Might not be a way back into the round, but it's certainly enough to make him feel a bit uncomfortable. Warm himself up with the scoped weapons. Noxy. Just looking to pepper back through the doors. He's going for the quick peeks. Playing with confidence on this one. You might as well try to do something with it. They know they're trapped and effectively being collapsed on by the T's, and it's Thomasin that wants to feed here. Wow, Swisher. Good shot with the 5-7. Room to upgrade and save the AK.
They're being encircled, though. Actually, that's not the case. Noxy's running back towards on A side. He's looking to try and boost up onto the catwalk and push from a different angle. Time of the essence, but it looks like they will hold on to the AK. So that's a nice little boon, a nice little bonus, a power-up for the CT side. And Slacks can throw away the scout and upgrade to the AWP as well. So they are pretty much dialed in for this round as much as you'd want to be. Some lovely shots from Slacks. And he was basically playing with this much confidence because he had Swisher up there on catwalk. So if they said, screw it, we're going to push you, well, Swisher would have been loving life. Death from above with that 5-7. He could have got 2 or 3. So deficit down to 1. But this is where things start to get really interesting. M80 have everything they want, and Bestia with a good spawn for Noxy's peak.
Slack showing he can do it with a scout. No reason that we shouldn't believe he can start to perform with the AWP as well here on CT side. Give him opportunities, peek into him. He could really pack a punch. Early info towards long. Outside of that, you wrap back. Secure upper. Bring the bomb over. Slacks, he's round towards car side, supporting Rec in case they do come out on the A-bomb site. HE down on middle from Sin. Just by the doors, smoked up there for now. Thomasin fires off the warning shot. Seeds of doubt. Trying to bait them in. Not giving the full info on the round. Smoke wall goes up on B just as the peak comes through.
Swisher won't know it from his perspective, but the timing on that smoke was exquisite. You could see the T's were about to push. And as soon as the smoke comes down, oh, hold on. And it's allowed a third player to now rotate through a middle. Sin is now here alongside Swisher and additionally Lake. They're moving into a trifecta of a crossfire. This is looking so bleak for Bestia. There'll be flashes tossed in. They're not going to expect this many players here this quickly. There's a player still on car as well. Lake has gone unchecked. They have no idea about his presence, even if they take down the first, which isn't even possible. He stands tall with 4 HP and delivers a smackdown to Bestia.
But it's cheering as well in the M80 camp. It was Def that was trying so hard, obviously, to wake everyone back up and still what he wanted them to do. And a round like this, you keep them guessing. 2-player setup towards car. It was supposed to be the bait and switch, didn't need to be. They do it themselves, close that one down. And you feel the knock-on effect. Far weaker buy going back into it. 1 MAC-10 on Luchov, Tech-9 in the hands of Naz. Galil surrounding that with only 1 AK for Noxy. They're going quick though, Vin, straight in. Swisher tries to turn the flash, still gets 1 pick.
They dealt with the wraparound player though as well in the meanwhile, which was Noxy. So although they're going to concede this bomb plant, when you consider they have 2 Molotovs, 1 incendiary, 1 molly overall in Lake and Sin respectively, a ton of smokes and flashes. Once these smokes clear, that's where you're expecting M80 to put this utility to use. Now they had 2 AWPs, but they traded to an AK instead. Allows them to be that little bit more mobile, trading guns as well alongside nades to try and supply each other with that entry frag they're so desperate for. Back onto the site, Thomasin though butched up with a Galil. Really important trade goes against him. And now it allows him to rush through. Late with the AWP, gets both entries. You madman. M80 gonna pick up a 10th.
Oh, that's what you wanted to see from Lake. Sorry, saying, man, he had no fear yesterday whatsoever, right? Like, he was so aggressive. Damn good to see him coming back in. Racking up the stats as well, 16 to 10. Relatively quiet over the flow of the first sort of 7 to 8 rounds of the game. Wasn't able to play his style of CS. They were countering him. He was always sort of the first pick on his T side.
Let's fucking go! Let's fucking go! You know?
Instantly fired up, though. That's what you want to see.
That's some stellar AWP work. Looking across the slacks and saying, all right, now your turn, Jim.
If I can do it, you can too.
Lake has been on a different level this tournament, man. We were discussing coming into the game how he's been their top performer by quite a margin. Very good with the rifles. We didn't mention how solid he is with the AWP, but there you go. You see it firsthand. 2 ridiculous entries. And considering how close the timer was to detonation, by the way, if he doesn't get both of those, or even one, it's probably GG for the round. So that's an unbelievably good play by Lake.
Yeah, it's really big. Heads up call. Going for it's one thing. Hitting both of the shots is completely different. Seems like a back and forth here, of course, in the technical timeout, figuring out what the issue is. Over on the camp of BESTIA.
I think it's also important to, although Lake obviously got that crazy double at the end, that Swisher was able to get 1 kill.
Yeah.
It looked really poor for him because they kind of they extinguished the Molotov late with a flashbang alongside it. He turns his back to play anti-flash, then comes back and gets a frag. That makes all the difference for the retake. If he goes down without any frags, it's an easily traded up weapon. There's an extra player for the retake with more crossfires to deal with. They can take 2 players and focus them into tunnels instead. And that Thomasin actually not getting the kill, I think it was Rek that pushed through, was quite surprising. Because again, we've kind of built up Thomasin as this beast, like the best player for BESTIA by quite a long distance. And he's one of the best players performing right now at the RMRs. He's on 56 ADR, Jackie. It's been a bit of a fall down considerably. And that's always the question, isn't it? It's one thing to perform in the first couple of games. When you're in the deciding matchups, the nitty-gritty, where there's pressure that is really on, are you able to bring that kind of performance to the forefront? We saw NQZ do it yesterday, had a bit of a rough start in the map, but once it got into the second map and that 13-0, he was smurfing. So we'll have to see if Thomasin can find that form again. He's not playing bad by any stretch, don't get me wrong, but not at those dizzying heights that he has been for the previous 5 maps of the tournament.
And this is one of those games where you need everyone absolutely popping off. Like we were saying before, I mean, the head-to-head paints the picture that BESTIA, when they go up against M80, they've been pretty damn comfortable. They've been able to manhandle them, control the rounds, control the games. Only the 1 loss in the space of their 2 meetings in both of the best of 3s. That was a 20-22 loss in overtime on Inferno. Whereas everything else, it's all painted green.
Yeah, we're kind of discussing how maybe BESTIA are a bit of a kryptonite for M80, but so far, although there's been a bit of some shakes and some scares, I think it's safe to say, M80 look like they're on the fast track now to potentially putting an end to this one. To put it in perspective as well, by the way, that 56 ADR I just mentioned is the lowest on the server. And Noxy, who was the scouting fiend, an AWPing fiend on the CT side, went from 109 ADR, and now he's at 76. It feels like he hasn't had a kill in quite some time. Hasn't really had too much impact on this half as of yet. Still plenty of time and rounds to play with, of course. We've got a referee also coming in. That's never a great sign.
Yeah, communicating the issue. Seeing what the problem is and working to resolve it. But man, Vince, it's one of those as well where you've taken both pistols in this series, right? Instant reset from M80 back on the first half. It was super scrappy. That opening 5 rounds, there was a lot of twists and turns of how it could have developed. Considering they've then come out swinging into their T half, building off the back of it. If someone else steps up to the plate, little bit of help, another player awakens, then yeah, there's room for this one to be a lot closer.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, I think that's a very important point to mention that, you know, it is both pistol rounds and you've only mustered up 7. Normally, both pistol rounds, you know, you're looking at having a 10-7 lead at this point, realistically, especially if you convert all of them. They converted the last 2 from the second pistol, but not the first. You said they got broken back straight away. And everyone's kind of pulling their weight as well. You see the kill disparity over on M80. Everyone's double digits or higher. Everyone above 65 ADR. Plenty of opening duels as well. Swisher is currently 3-0 for his opening duels. And you got 4 multi-kills for Rek. Most of them came in the first 6 or 7 rounds.
And with a man on your screens with Lake, it's pretty impressive how much of a reset he's had in the game. I felt like he was getting countered a lot first half. Something snapped though. He went back to basics, starts making some huge plays. And Swish has been Mr. Consistent. Like, even in the rounds where he's finding one pick, it's impact. It's always impact frags.
Yeah, exactly. Like that previous one. Just getting the one kill. There he is on your screen now, Swisher. The one kill on the B site really, it did stop them from fully overwhelming the site and having sort of surplus players to send out into tunnels and take more forward control. Very important in that first half as well, where Slacks and Sin started a little bit slowly. It feels like they have now picked it up a little bit. I think you were right in saying, like, when he had that scout and he was just kind of free-flowing, just getting warmed up, you could see him. Confidence building with every shot that connected.
There's something about it, Vince. You start hitting headshots with a scout, you're taking fast peeks.
Yeah.
Drills you in, it wakes you up. Then suddenly you're like, yeah, all right, give me the AWP. Body shots? Ooh. You do wonder as well, momentum-wise, who this actually affects more.
Yeah, it's always interesting, isn't it? Because obviously both teams are very much affected by this. On the one hand, M80 have just won a couple of rounds in a row, feeling pretty good. Does it slow them down? Do they get in their own heads a little bit here? Obviously, players can't really discuss anything with each other. They're just sat there in silence, just pondering, stewing on what's just happened. It could go either way. You see it all the time. You know, some players, like, they really go off the boil off this basis. This is a test of mental fortitude.
I think you see it in the body language, right? Of like how different players approach it when you have these sort of extended timeouts. Some recline back, some stare straight into the screen, some are just thinking about other things. Hopefully not replaying rounds in your mind that you want to try and forget about. Keep the hands warm.
Yeah, having spoke to a few players about this, the consensus for the players I've spoke to at least, and obviously I'm not sure, you know, in a 2-2 RMR where you have so much money and prestige and possibilities on the line if it's the same thing, but it seems pretty unanimous. The idea is to just take yourself as far removed as possible, try and go over some of the strats or some of the ideas that you've maybe been discussing leading into the matchup, remind yourself of a few different things, but for the most part, try and disconnect yourself is basically the feedback I've got, at least from the players I've spoke to. Easier said than done, though, obviously.
Yeah, always hard. Always hard to do it. Thinking about is one thing. Actually being in the moment, completely different. Now, in terms of the tiebreakers, the case for the Major and the decider matchups that could be ahead, for M80, they're looking for FURIA, Red Canids, and themselves to win, of course. That would result in them taking the 6th place. However, there's multiple different outcomes where you would have to go ahead. A 7th place decider. In a lot of these use cases, it's Red Canids that affect most of the outcomes. That's the big ticket item that you're looking for.
And if I'm not mistaken, Jackie, obviously do correct me if I'm wrong, but I think if 9Z win, they're just straight up through.
Yeah.
So obviously 9Z are playing FURIA. That should be a fantastic game, really interesting. And obviously mentioned about the Red Canids, for those of you who aren't aware, they're playing against Imperial in our next best of 3 after this one. So all eyes will be looking over there to see how these games come to fruition. 4 best of 3s today. This, of course, being the first. Oh, he's properly lounging there, isn't he?
As far back as the headset will let him go. My, oh my. That's what you want to see. Right then, guys. Well, with this one, seems like it'll be a slightly extended break. Get the issue fixed. So we'll take a few moments. Don't go too far from your PCs, though. Grab yourself a drink. Come back for it. This is more of a snack break, Vince, because there's a lot of good CS coming up today. We'll give you a few moments, guys, and we'll get back into this game when things are ready. Welcome back, everyone, to the Americas RMR for the Perfect World Shanghai Major. If you're just joining us, don't worry, you're right on time to catch what could potentially be an explosive finish to our first map in our opening BO3 of the day. It's M80 on the CT side. Second half, BESTIA, 7 rounds racked up, struggling on their opening half, Vince, but they've taken both pistols in this series. Now it's all about the remaining rounds and what they can get done off the back of the pause. Stark contrast in terms of the buys and instantly into a tactical. Fair enough. A lot of time where you haven't been able to chat. You're all in the room off the back of the technical. This is an opportunity now to have a air of the bag, really figure out what you want to do going into this one and set yourself up for the remainder of the half.
Yeah, exactly, because you've won the second pistol, as you just mentioned before. You take a 3-0 effectively in this half, and then you lose the previous 2 rounds going into this tech issue. So you don't have much money, and additionally, like you said, you've been sat there for like 20-25 minutes, stewing and thinking, and really having to battle your own thoughts realistically and think about what's up for grabs, what's up for stake right now. A place at the Major, a life-changing moment for so many of these players. Nobody from BESTIA has ever been to a Major before. This would be a life-changing moment for them. So make sure if you've got anything to say, any opinions, any ideas on how to best put yourself into victory, get it all out in the open right here, right now. Love Hearts Underground. There's a choking emote there as well. Interesting.
Yeah, stark contrast. It's the duality of man when it comes to sprays in Counter-Strike, Vince. It looked like Noxy dropped out, so admin behind him, get that result, get him back in, and then get this one roaring on. Obviously, it's a bit rough, right, because you imagine you're finding a bit of a groove. You were starting to accumulate rounds. Towards the tail end, it was the push onto the B-bomb site with Swisher finding a very important pickup. The one frag he got makes a world of difference in the overall outcome. What has Lake got there? Is that a keycap that lights up? He's tapping something. I see a little light.
I didn't quite catch that. Might be. So much bling on people's keyboards and mouse pads now.
It's true.
I lose track of it all.
It's a whole new generation, Vince.
And then on the other side, and we'll see this, I'm sure, I hope we do actually, then you've got Mattis with his 50-year-old mouse pad.
Yeah, the classic, the vintage number. I assume that's still around, right?
I hope
Didn't
so.
imagine that's gone anywhere.
Yeah.
I think he gave a quote at one point where he was literally saying, like, even if this mouse mat fully disintegrates, I will just glue it on top of another one so that I can still use it.
Players got their superstitions. It's all about comfort, right? Like, it's such a psychological based game, I think, really at its core, Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
You got to make yourself as comfortable, as calm, as composed as possible. But it looks like after a bit of a false start, we are ready to jump straight back onto the saddle and get this underway. First map out of potentially 3 between M80 and BESTIA. And as you can see right now, Lake is leading the charge with 16 kills. You actually missed him pull off a really sick, if you just joined us, that is, a really sick retake with the AWP. Kind of ignited this this resurgence for M80. You're fancying to pick up an 11th here, Jackie. They're going to try and dust off the cobwebs, though, and get aggressive. They're taking so much damage through middle. All 5 players getting smacked down by grenades and AWP shots.
And the first nade was enough to soften them up. The second is the one that finishes them. Sin eventually pays the price as he falls to Tomazin. But it's only Noxy left. 1 versus 4, outmanned. Ooh, maybe not outgunned, though. Noxy, he was the star player, shining bright on the first half, had a lot of impact. Up close and personal here against Slacks, but it's the flank round the back and Swisher on the move. Nice connection. And an 11th, straight back into it. M80 continue the winning ways. No room for an upset round with a light investment around the scout, but this is what they wanted. Buy back into it now. Round 19, this is where it begins for them. Got to come out swinging, Vince. Live and die by the sword on Dust2. M80's map pick, going into Mirage, preceding this. Is the story over, or is it just beginning?
Unfortunately, BESTIA not able to get another AWP in play. Oh, not far off there. Slacks fully flashed. Still trying to find the pixel and exploit it. But behind the smoke, they'll now sit on cart. BESTIA have the utility to try and fend off that angle. They only have the one Molotov in the hands of Noxy. Oh, the flash this time is not going to stop the blood from being spilled. And it's Slacks that's able to pull the trigger, back off, and weaken the oncoming T's. Now wreck behind the smoke and try and pincer off and put that turret M4 to use. Now BESTIA kept at arm's reach. They can't close the gap. That's going to help matters, though. Alleviating catwalk.
Zark, he gets his first. Not anymore, though. Swisher. Been some devilishly good connections from him throughout the course of the game. Really good spray control and nice taps as well. And that makes it even harder for BESTIA in this one. 50 seconds on the timer. Noxy outside on long. Tucked in towards the back right-hand corner. Naz with Thomasin, making their path down through lower. It's Lake that's up close towards the doors with the M4 in hand.
Oh, he said the footsteps as well. They have to get a move on because of 30 seconds. Oh, Lake should have them dead to rights. May not get both, but the one and done should be good enough considering the time and positioning of the remaining Ts. It is putting a lot more, though, on the shoulders of Rek, who's gone unchecked so far, hiding behind the boxes. Can hear the footsteps of Thomasin and will devour him. Pinces in for the frag. Noxy does counteract, but 10 seconds on the cross. He's been whittled down to 48 HP. Still needs to retrieve the bomb. There may not be enough time regardless, and it doesn't matter because Sin in position vanquishes him on the cross. And M80 have 5 map points now on their choice of Dust2.
Might have just been enough time by the skin of his teeth to get the plant down if he wasn't tagged through the smoke, but bullet tagging slowing him down made it uncomfortable on the run-up. Hell, even if he did grab it though, like you saw, fast swing out from short, close down the round and put yourself into this position. 1 round away now from guaranteeing yourself the first map. Living it large on your home turf of Dust2 and sending it forward to Mirage 1 map up. Here in the RMRs. Broken by really as well. Thomasin, the only one that's armed. It's a Galil in his hands, supporting it SMGs, Tech 9s. They've got utility, yes though. A few flashbangs. But still, the nades from M80, they've been nasty in the opening moments. Towards mid, they've been taking a ton of damage every round.
Felt like it was going to be a nuke landing on Naz's face, but 19 damage instead of what looked like it was going to be a whole bunch more. But as you say, I mean, they've been so good with the timings. Like a couple of times they've thrown out a smoke. Perfect moment to deny a push, to slow it down. And now the smoke is being utilized by the T. Shot straight down the middle. Trying to pierce and penetrate onto the oncoming terrace, but it's going to be Zoc with his Mac 10 that's able to claim the first. Oh, Swisher with that one tap. He looked like he was a dead man walking, but he'll take one to the grave with him. And in doing so, puts it into a 2-on-3 with a low Noxy on the bomb. And he's scared to go for the plant in case a HE lands on top of his head.
With a swish and a flick, it's goodbye to the first, and Thomasin is the only one that remains. Unless he can get gory with the Galil, this should be as good as done. And M80 take a 13th. They will find it as Sin strikes back onto Thomasin, and they close the opening map.
Good shit. Nice shot, man.
Well, there you go. M80 is 1 map away from making sure that they have a better chance of making the major, because of course it's all going to come down to the third game to see how those...
Lethal with the opportunities they get, because they did get loads of post plants. We're in situations with 2v2, 3v3 post plants on B site, on A multiple times. It's just like they couldn't find their form at all. So, but how often do we say that? Come into the second map and the team has had a complete reversal and they actually show up and we go to a third. It happens all the time, so you have to believe in BESTIA that they can pull that one off as well.
Oh yeah, especially when the major's looming over your head. You know the position you're in. We've seen it at this very America's RMR as well. Teams that get forced into this position where you're close to it all slipping away, the dream potentially being over, and then suddenly they come alive, they bloom back into it, and springtime arrives. For now though, it's Mirage that's on your screens, and map 2 in the BO3. M80 on the CT side, 1 map up, about to be tested on the A-bomb site. Rek, USP in his hands with a white out. Can he be lights out on contact? Smoke and Molly forces him back and they bleed into the bomb site, Vince.
Yeah, this is all for a retake though. They do have the kit, they do have the flash. A kill would be huge, and they picked it up just before the bomb gets planted. So that makes their endeavors for this retake that little bit more powerful as the smoke now begins to fade. That flash still in hands of Sin as they look to try and congregate together. Rek, who had a phenomenal start to Dust2, is not going to have anything in this one, and it looks like we're going to have 3 out of 3 pistol rounds going the way of BESTIA, unless Swisher can just completely annihilate them, and it's not going to happen. 3 pistol rounds on the trot for BESTIA.
Rapid response as well. The alarm bells were sounding and BESTIA were in the building before the round even started. Rapid. Hell of a comeback on that one. Good connections, they clean up. Play off the back of the pistol, and like you say, free for free. It's a good stat. You've got to win those rifle rounds as well and not get reset. That was the problem last time. Good energy, at least, off the back of the pistol.
All about keeping those vibes as good and as high as possible. Best possible way to start that second map after conceding the first in pretty convincing fashion. 2 MP9s picked up as well for M80 here. Hopefully ready to jump back into this as soon as possible. I'm hearing some typing in the background. There we go. We're good to go.
Always a good sign. You hear the typing going through. But it's more about the tapping. That's what we're going to be looking for. Okay. This is a bit cheeky. Double scout. Slacks and Swisher on the scopes.
Yeah, that's not something you see too often. Swisher is going to be utilizing this one over on the B app side. Meanwhile, double. Oh, that's a pretty nasty pitfall to drop into if you walk around that corner. That's a lot of bullets. That's a lot of firepower in your face. It's about patience now. If they hold in this position, they're going to be in a great spot. Molotov comes out. It's a bait and switch though, and the T's have it locked down. Zoc watching, can't save his teammate, but there is Slacks with one of the scouts before he's silenced by Thomasin's AK.
And this is a Thomasin that if you feed frags to him early on in the game, he's going to continue to grow, get bigger and bigger over the course of the matchup. Zoc slightly sticking around on the CT peak. Nearly gets punished, but Thomasin straight back in. Smashes his way through him on this one. 3 frags. 4 kills overall. Good start. Bodes well with the storyline we were developing for him.
Yeah, real T powerhouse player. It's not as if he's absent on the CT side either. But it's really those T sides where you notice the impact. And there is quite a drop-off as well. Like, the other element of that stat is that if you go back to the 2.34 rating I was talking about the last time they played on the T side, you're dropping from 2.34 to about 1.25, which was Naz, who only got 9 kills on that half. Now, of course, there's only a certain amount of kills to go around, and if Thomasin is just nibbling on everybody, there's not much you can do about that. But that sometimes is the problem. We saw it on Dust2 as well. There wasn't really a plan B.
Sin's got a Zeus. My man's playing close on short. Wants to try and make this one a little bit more electrifying, but I don't know if they'll really give him a chance. I mean, maybe. Noxy, he's walking up. Ooh, could be cheeky. Hearing the footsteps, he's hoping he's going to come running around the corner. Clears out towards the window side at the minute, just tucks in case anyone's close by. If they go for the rotate, he can catch him. Talking of which, it's a lurk around the back from Lake. All right, Sin with a shocker. He gets it off. The Zeus pays out. Noxy down. He's got himself a gun off the back of it as well. Armed with the AK now, but Thomasin still alive. Strikes. Response back is good. Thomasin. The can opener taking the top off.
Great recovery. Was looking really dicey for a second, as you mentioned. Not just the Zeus kill, but the trade of weapons before the T's just brute force their way onto the site. Lake now be looking for that exit frag, but the round is done. It's already been signed, sealed, and delivered for a 3-0. The only question left remaining is if Lake can maybe get a kill, a parting gift on his way out. And Zoc intelligently decides to join the rest of his team so they can move together and make sure no stragglers get picked off. So Lake will hold on to the 5-7, but that's the only consolation prize they'll get. And from a neutral's perspective, this is exactly what we wanted to see. BESTIA starting strong on the second map. Thomasin off to 7 already, and Zoc on 5. M80 will have a purchase. The pressure is being applied directly to them now, and this is a different look for Bestia. Like, Thomasin took a good 5 or 6 rounds before he really got kicked off on that first half. Well, he's already up in their face. He's already hungry.
I think if you're a player like him as well, finding those early kills, even if some of them are against ecos or against pistols, you can give it down. Each and every frag is going to be rising up that power level, getting you into the groove of the game, and you're thinking, right, yeah, I'm ready for it now. Take my tempo. Lake, though, he takes the face of Luchov clean off. Mobs him up like a spilt drink towards middle. And Slacks tucks in with the AWP, scoping over the top of the smoke. He's got backup, but Naz. Oh, he threads the needle. Oh, it's so awkward. He gets in for 2, Vince.
That's the AWP down alongside Lake. Suddenly, the round just pivots straight on its head. Still so much time left on the clock as well. 1 minute 20. And they're going to go in for that plant. Sin, damage from the murder hole. Thomasin dropped down to 15. You can see the confidence. He doesn't really scare easily. Just stands in position, knowing with that post plant in, they're going to have to walk into his layer. Nade up and over, though, from Sin. Doing his due diligence and getting the reward reaped. Noxie in the meanwhile with Naz, going to try and lock down the fort. Noxie with 1, missing out on the flick, taking a ton of damage. USP on top is going to nail him, but Rek doesn't have a kit to play with. Has to go and get the last kill and pick up the kit from the corpse. And Naz says no. Oh, that connector play though, full circle for the 4K. M80 brought back to their knees.
No Nas on that one, all nasty. Giving it the big one with the timing on the backstab through connector, gets away with both for the kills and converts it into 4 in the round. And that's the total tally they're now sat on. Yet to get a debut round on your CT side for M80. And this one isn't going to come easy. 2 MP9 Steagles supporting that, Swisher with a 5-7. They've got flashes at least. Aggro towards ramp could be the call, and Thomasin's looking to defend.
Oh, caught with a smoke, but it's only the MP9, so it's not the outright kill. Now Molotov's going to bring up some time. Caught with a knife out as well for Zok. Oh, a catalogue of errors. Getting punished now with a 2v1 in terms of frags. Well, Lake will not be able to extend fully and secure either of those upgraded weapons. So back to an even keel playing field, but it's allowed M80 to get a little bit more aggressive, looking to try and push the smoke as well as Sin. This is all about chaos. Try and cultivate as much as possible and see if Bestia can be dealt with accordingly.
Throw him into a tailspin. And then leave it up to them to see if they can recover or not. Still time to play with. And a bundle of utility in the back pockets as well. Flashbang, smokes and Molotovs. One of them being used to block off the angle over towards stairs. Restrict connector. Problem is, you're waiting for the flank that's never going to come. They're already round towards midside, going in through connector. Luchov, paranoid about the back of the bomb site. Might have heard the footsteps, though. Actually could still pay off for Naz. He's going to con that across the late lurk in through spawn site. Sin. Bullets going over the top of the smoke. Don't dome them.
Oh, he was so close, though. Just a couple of millimeters away. Naz now moving in. Footsteps were heard, but still gets the drop on Swisher. A fall from grace from that first map. He'll be bitterly disappointed and grab onto that frag. It would have opened the door for a potential retake, but as it stands, it will be a save instead. Slacks wants to hold on to this AK. They've got a bit of Kevlar to play with as well. Sin on 1 HP. That will be Bestia off to a 5-0 lead. History potentially going to repeat itself. Last time they met each other, it was a 13-5 victory to Bestia. A very comfortable one at that. And they got 9 rounds on their T side. Well, the projection right now is looking pretty good, that they may even go better than that this time around.
We get the AWP off, though. Noxie taking on Slacks in the head-to-head. Fair play to Naz, 7-0. Tasty tap around the corner as well, Vince. Baited him back in, took the engagement, dealt with him. Pays off massively in the early game.
Already so early on into this map and this round. is worth such a huge amount of impact, and the only impact is Slacks being plastered against the wall from Luchov's AK. The AWP will have no impact here. From the CT side at least. Noxy still has one in his hands to try and utilize. The worst possible start though, Jackie. You finally get yourself a buy, you're into decent positions, straight away eliminated.
Socks out, looking for the fight. Quick trades back though. Good work from Rek and Lake. Lake's got to duck in, get the reload off. Meanwhile, Thomasin's been able to secure the plant. A little bit more peppering back onto Swisher as well. 80 HP to his name, all grouped up on mid side. They've got two flashes, Kit in the back pockets. Naz is watching for the rear. Two-player setup as well, round towards CT. They've got each other covered. They can swing off the contact. Can they pull off this retake and M80 get themselves around on the board? Naz looking for the run out. Spray down comes in. Him and Luchov activate together. And it's only Sin left. He's got to bail out and sprint away as quick as he can. Oh. These are some meaty kills, Vince.
No prisoners, man. Thomasin's had enough. He looked dejected, flat on Dust2. Whenever the camera panned to him, it was like he didn't want to be there. But Mirage is an entirely different beast. He's been unshackled, untethered. If BESTIA are going to go down, they're going to go down swinging as far as Thomasin's concerned. And tactical timeout call with Depth trying to get some kind of success on this half. But I mean, they've been utterly body-bagged. You can even make an argument that the retake attempt there was way too late on the clock. I mean, the timer was already low on the fuse. The molly gave them information. They threw it back to the default site, try and draw out the T's, anyone that was hiding there. Gave them the intel they were looking for, but with such little time, not knowing exactly where in Palace or in Ramp or CT boxes the T's were, I think a lot of teams at that point would have pulled the plug. Actually, it's saved, because you can see the impact it's had. You're 6-0 down. The best you can muster up is an M4, a Scout, and an MP9 with a couple 5.7s. Grim.
Really is. Almost tricked me into thinking that's what they were going to go for as well. And they grouped up back on mid-side. Like you say, it would have been 3 rifles. And the additional utility alongside that carried into the next. Far better buy here. Instead, this is the reality we're living in. This is a 7th round where, again, BESTIA are in a great position. Rex up close and personal with a 5.7. But they know they can pump the brakes on this one. CFM80 give you an opener. If they look for an info play, go for a wide swing, rip the head off and build off the back of that. Heavy grouping on the A site though. It's Sin that's wrapping over. They get the audio confirmation with the Molotov as well onto the close man.
5-player stack on A. Do like this as a bit of a roll of the dice. You know your buy is pretty garbage. Stick together. Hope and pray that BESTIA make a mistake. And if nothing else, you can maybe trade up to an AK or 2. But BESTIA doing all of the work here, just making sure that these angles are covered off. They're about to walk into a free site. Flashbang, smokes available, Molotov also tossed in. This time to Shadow. May not anticipate Rek being up on the balcony after they heard him getting singed before. It's a 1-for-1. They'll happily take that. Slacks goes down, but it is an AK-47 that trades hands. And although they're going to lose this round more than likely, at least they can buffer up that buy just a little bit more in the next round. And Slacks can get his hands on an AWP, no problems. But they are going to go in for this, try and get some exit frags alongside it. 2-3 players up on Cat now. And Swisher coming through with that Scout into the market. But Naz nailing the first frag onto Lake. Want to try and let the bomb do most of the talking for them at this stage. But Naz is making moves, opening up a bit of space. Swisher connects the shot onto Thomasin and Naz will go down. But it will still be a 7-0 scoreline, regardless from this point forward. This is still an extraordinarily strong start to Mirage.
Seven rounds uncontested. There's far more to how the script looked like it was going to go in this series. Thomasin alive on the T side, the team winning ways. M80, at least with the weapons saved as well. They're able to bolster the buy back in. Like you said, Slacks, he's got enough in the back pockets to invest into the big green gun. So AWP once again in play for him. Noxy being his counter. Only one frag in the matchup at the minute. His teammates have been doing a lot of the work for him.
Flash could not have been better placed. Wreck completely blinded and taken down with ease. A damning statistic, by the way, for M80 as well. Typically at 7-0 scorelines, you're looking at 0 opening duels. They've had 5 out of 7 go in their favor, Jackie. They've constantly had the player advantage and have been able to do anything with it.
Oh, Slacks. He's baited in for the fight towards Connector. Nade at least peppers them with even more damage. In each and every one of the engagements, it just seems like BESTIA can do nothing wrong. They're just hitting their connections, and Lake's the only one that's left. They've been put through the blender again. No one dies, another round secured. Oh man, this is looking brutal, Vince.
Well, we had a 13-0 yesterday, didn't we?
We did to qualify to the major.
Yeah,
Pain. Snow and Pain.
Pain destroyed 9Z in that one. And BESTIA, they took inspiration from their South American brothers. And maybe just, you know what? We'll take it easy on Dust2, because Mirage is in the back. We want to make this an exciting series. I jest, of course. But M80, I mean, that they are... This looks like a completely different team to what we saw in the first map. Like, what's happened? Where's the firepower? Lake's not had the impact swisher. But additionally, like, we haven't seen Slacks activate yet either. He's got an AWP again. That doesn't mean a great deal because they've facilitated a mid control already, and they just wrap around the back and Luchov with 2 of the easiest kills of his career.
Lurking Luchov. If you don't know where he is, look behind you, because that's the way he's been playing throughout the course of this one. An M80. For them, looking forward, it's going to be a hard task, but Sin, he finds the connection at least onto Naz and will grab himself that heirloom. So there's an AK in the back pockets. Again, though, it'll be forced into another safe. You don't want to throw away the AWP and the AK. And Swisher's relatively pent in. They know exactly where he is, but Luchov on the run by goes down. Double up.
It's a nice couple of kills, but it's not going to stop the bomb from detonation. And that will be a 9-0. At least he's able to trade up to the AK. Bit of confidence as well on top of it, perhaps. But this has been a masterful T side. Tomazin up to 125 ADR. 137 for Naz, who's made a couple of beautiful plays through on that con side. It's just been incredibly difficult to breathe for M80. And that's with what I'm saying before. Like, they've been getting opening picks. It's not like they've been totally bulldozed, but BESTIA just in that different level right now, a different stratosphere with how they're landing shots, winning trades, clutching out rounds.
I mean, some of these tactical timeouts have been pretty lucrative for M80 previously. Obviously, we saw how much Def was really trying to get his point across into the previous one. Very animated. Almost looked like he was trying to instill them to go for something a little bit more bold, potentially some audacious plays. Just get a gut feeling, go for it. And with the AKs in their hands, especially on Swisher as well, with the taps he was delivering back on the first map of Dust2. This would be one to wake you up. A splash of cold water on the face. Slacks, good movement as well for the window jump out, but the timing on the connection is not there. It's Luchov again, making moves out through middle.
Flash is good, but so is Noxy on the AWP. Headshot delivered. Oh, Luchov double tapped this in. Never stood a chance. This after a tactical timeout, and you have just been styled on M80.
Noxy was on 1 kill for so long. In that instance, he takes 2 sick ones on the way out. And the tap from Luchov as well. Last 2 bullets in the magazine, right on target. First class post on that one, Vince. It was not going missing.
been so clinical, so surgical from BESTIA. It's like M80 just can't put a foot right, and BESTIA can't put a foot wrong right now. Slacks on 2 kills. ADR must be around the 20 mark. He's had the AWP several times, just hasn't really had an opportunity to utilize it. Slowing the pace down are BESTIA. They want to get this one done as clean as possible. Luchov out to the open, and Slacks misses his shot once again. Not punished with his life, but he'll have to forego window control. And the T's are going to make the most of that. They're spilling out to the side. They're playing with so much confidence. And why the hell not when they can land shots like this on the regular? The drive-by one tap from Naz, a thing of beauty. And Swisher with one, nearly finalized by the nade. And Thomasin round the back, snatches 2 more lives away. At this point, the 13-0 just looks inevitable.
Feels like it could genuinely be happening with how they're playing. Every engagement, every 1v1, it goes their way. Some incredible rifling. And Swisher at least gets one to grab himself an AK. But he's still going to be pushed. They've got money in the coffers. They can afford to go for something a bit more audacious and make sure he doesn't save a single thing into the next. And Thomas in. That's another great round. 3 kills, more multi-frags. He's in his groove.
Man, I would love to have been a fly on the wall for whatever kind of team chat went on with BESTIA after that first map. I would love to just listen in. Because whatever was said, it's worked.
Yeah.
And then some. Like, they've got a real pep in their step. They're loving life right now. They're enjoying their Counter-Strike. They were hating every second of Dust2.
They didn't want to be there, but they're making Mirage an oasis for themselves. And in a couple more rounds, it could be a champagne supernova. Again, Naz, flick up, takes the head of Sin. Rek replies back with the Founders. 3 versus 3, scrappy round, but Tom is in and aggro. Check out through the shop with 2 kills in his basket. And Rek, the realization of the round sets in. Tom is in looking for the close engagement. 2 taps straight to the brain. 12-0. No rounds conceded in the second map.
Well, we said coming into this, Thomasin was going to need to wind it back to his crazy T-half performance the last time these teams met with 150 ADR, that 2.34 rating. He's not far off it. He comes into the second half with 14 kills, 4 multi-kills, and well over 120 ADR to his name. This time, though, there was more of a supporting cast. Naz not too far behind him on 103 with 12 kills. Unbelievable team effort spearheaded by 2 mad fraggers. And M80, they must be dizzy with how fast that half was, not knowing what the hell just happened.
This is crazy. Playing like Lanimals right now. Released from the cage that was Dust2, and with some ruthless maneuvers, running away with the half. You can see it with Def's body language as well, compared to how he's been trying to instill confidence. This time around, it almost looks like frustration. They just can't find a way in, for love nor money. And it could be very fitting that the majority of rounds BESTIA have been always guaranteed to win have been the pistols. They haven't conceded a single pistol in this series yet, and if they take this one, the second map's done, and we're pushed to the decider.
Zoc watching for that underpass peek with his Julies. Thomasin taking the damage early on, looked for information, nearly lost his head as a result. Feels like for M80, and get like just a bit of confidence, play for a bit of pride here, win that pistol, put an end to that curse at least, and then take each round at a time. They flash out into middle, Luchov goes looking, a player in the alcove in the form of Slacks is hiding and waiting for that push. You can see the BESTIA, they're just so proactive though. Full confidence, full belief in their ability level. That's what a 12-0 half will do. I mean, Noxie's got 3 kills, by the way, and his team are winning 12-0. Not something you see every day. Swisher, though, splatters Zoc. First pick is M80's.
In through the window, but Leg doesn't want to be there anymore. Dives straight back on out. You've got a huge advantage in terms of the manpower. Battle of attrition's looking good for them. Oh, Lake on the drop down. Nearly hits the connection, actually, to punish onto underpass. But he's done enough to soften them up. Rest of the team should convert as Tom is in so low and trapped on his lonesome. So M80 deny the 13-0. They get a pistol, break the streak, but it's one in many. 11 rounds required if they want to force this into an overtime.
Just a drop in the bucket for the time being, but if you leave those drops for long enough, it will start to overflow. And that's the mentality M80 need to have right now. Got a chance to break the economy down here, move a step closer. Mac 10 out, shooting gallery opens up, and Lake will oblige with a triple. Pad those stats just a little bit more. M80 looking good for that second round, but yeah, I mean, this is the beginning of a Herculean effort that would be required. You're that first rung of the ladder, and there's many more to come after this.
Yeah, no luxuries on this one. It's going to be brutal the whole way through, and Tom is in. He's still in it. Pushes up close towards short, turns the flash, peeks in. Spray out. Tagging up Sin, leaves him with 2 health, but it baits him into the extension, and Lake grabs himself 4 of the potential 5 in the round.
They'll be eager to hunt Zoc down, make sure no weapons do carry through into the next round. Yeah, Lake with a 4K. He'd be very happy about that one as they dial in the digits for the second round coming right up. Bestia have time, though. No need to get overzealous on their economy. Take your sweet time. Can give 2 or 3 rounds away until you have a really solid investment. Get Noxy on that AWP. I think this gives free reign as well to Thomasin in this upcoming round to basically be unsheathed again. Like, basically just send him in a direction and say, get as many kills as you possibly can. Very aggressive on both the CT and T halves. He's always going to be the ace in the sleeve.
Scary situation as all when you think about what we're going to be working with going into the third map for this one. Anubis, last 2 times they played against each other, it was a 13-1 and a 13-7 for Bestia. And this very well looked like it was going to be a 13-0. Now, of course, M80 finding a few rounds here and there, dribs and drabs to build yourself back in. For Bestia, they can afford themselves an opportunity to let this one tick on by, get the rifles in their hands, and look to just lop the head off, close it down. Don't burn too much energy off the back of the performance they've had.
Swisher in prime position to try and send these 2 players packing. They bait out with the jump across, and Zoc will do exactly as was intended. Let's get the return frag. Lake with 2 more. Yeah, but that Anubis looming overhead is a very tantalizing prospect. I mean, you would assume that the entirety of M80, having been beaten so comprehensively twice, would pay even closer attention to where they went wrong in those previous encounters and would, you know, iron over the gap, so to speak. Hold on a second, though. This map could be dangerously close. It's hanging by a thread all of a sudden. I'm not sure entirely how M80 have put themselves into this position, but it's going to be taken away as Zoc's life deemed forfeit. Was a couple of seconds there that got a little bit shaky. Kind of talking like that was an assumed round, but nearly not the case at all.
Yeah, that'll get the hair standing up on your back a little bit. Let's see if anything changes as well in the head-to-head of the 2 AWPers here. Noxy on the CT side this time around. Of course, Slack's moving over to the T half. For Noxy, he was on 1 frag for quite a while. Found himself a nice 2-piece with a no-scope to close it. Relatively quiet from both of them, though. It's been the other players on the server doing most of the fancy footwork. Aggression out on middle, Luchov. He was good with the backstabs previously. Full frontal assault here, dashes in the nade, good chip damage onto 2.
$300 investment well spent. Sin now in headshot range from all of these rifles. And same could be said for Lake as well. Molotov down. Not going to extend fully to Swisher so he can hold in position. But Luchov lurking in the shadows just above on window. Seems to have such a good game sense, a good read for the rounds, the timing. Always seems to find the right moment to pivot in and strike. Maybe Zock's turn though if he pushes down on ramp. M80 have mid control though. It's going to facilitate them to smoke off jungle and connect up. Start to make moves up. This is where this forward position for Zock could be so very important. He's joined by Luchov, who takes the bullet, but it may bait them into Zock. No, Slacks checking his angles and make sure that banana peel is navigated across without any further bloodshed required.
Another round going their way. Got to give it up off the back of the maneuvers they've made. Noxie and CT just watching on the pixel peak in case they come running towards him, and Naz backing up to save. So M80 with a fourth. 4 on the trot after winning the second half pistol. They've still been close. That's the scary thing, even with some of the weaker weapons. And Slacks stepping up with this one. Nice 2K, good response. Looked like Zock was in a great angle there. I was expecting him to actually do a ton of damage on the peek out, especially off the back of the first frag. Felt like he was going to swing in, find his man, maybe slow them down a little bit, but not here, not this time.
Yeah, Luchov, who typically is playing around window con, maybe the fact that the first kill was him alerted them to the potential presence of that second player in the form of Zock. But whichever way you spin it, Slack still needs to hit those shots, and he did just that. First timeout called. Bestia not overlooking M80, not assuming anything. Of course, for their own energy levels, knowing that it's going to be a long day, you want to get this one dialed in as fast as possible. You want to get this game over with, realistically, not spend any more time trying to fight against the current that really should be in your favor. Let it take you downstream to the third and decisive map of Anubis, where they will be favorites. Like, you look at the stats, they are the favorites in that game, I would have to say. Although it is a bit of a weird one with M80, isn't it? Because they're typically beating teams and players that you would say, no disrespect to Bestia, are above them in terms of the rankings, above them in terms of skill level. But for whatever reason, Bestia just seems to be like a weakness that they can't quite fix.
That's weird, isn't it? You know, you summarized it and basically saying like they're kryptonite, and it does feel that way. They just have the answer. Especially in that first half as well, it was just the raw firepower. Just every one of the duels, being able to take them with ease. Round 17 is live though. For M80, it's the same situation each and every round. No mistakes can be afforded. And the early damage, ooh, it paints a really dangerous picture. Looking like they might have found the answer to close this one down. If they could finish it here as a 13-4, then yeah, that energy would be saved up. And Naz tucks in back towards con side. Lake's low, Slacks as well. Swisher with the first flick in. Removes the head from Luchov, but Lake's looking to reply. They've got backup though, and they wide peek in.
Slacks and Swisher to try and save the map, to try and take us at least one more round, but they're in a 2v4 and Slacks is the walking wounded. Down at 16. Will be the spearhead of the operation for the time being, but I'm sure that Swisher is going to need to push in first if they want success. The good news is that Bestia still around mid and A respectively. They have no players on B. Of course, M80 don't have the benefit of that information for themselves. So they'll be taking a little bit longer on the approach. Now going in. Up in position, but Thomas nails Slacks, finishes him off, leaving Swisher in a 1-on-4. Already dealt with the first. A few more hurdles to go yet, and 20 seconds on the clock. Trying to isolate the player on market to focus attention towards the back of the site. Smoke in the eyes, and Thomason playing around that smoke on the extremities, leaving Noxie to seal the deal. Will be heading to Anubis.
Well, M80 goes down 13-4. Mirage goes the way of Bestia, and it all comes down to Anubis now. The first half, though, that T side for Bestia.
But is that going to be there for their opposition?
It reminds me a lot of Pain from yesterday. Yeah. So we were saying all 5 players are just going crazy, like Bigazera going crazy, Snow going crazy, everybody. And you get those kind of shades from Bestia. It's just a little bit less consistent. I mean, I don't even necessarily look too much into Noxie's stats from the last map, because when you're the AWPer, primary AWPer, and your riflers are popping off, like you're just not going to get a look in. It's the nature of the beast. Like, it happens. That's the way it goes. Your ADR, your kills are going to be affected by those things. But it was leading into the series, he was also having a rough time. So it is a consistent problem. However, Jackie, enough yapping. We're ready to jump into our third all-important elimination matchup here between Bestia and M80. One of these teams could very well still make the major, but they've got to get success right here, right now.
If you want the dream to live on in Shanghai, you've got to show it here on the third and final map. T-side start for Bestia. M80 are your CTs for this one. And Tom is in with a Glock in his hands. He's looked absolutely ruthless into the previous rounds. Will he do something similar here? Jiggle peeking on contact towards A main. Baits out the shots and gets a bit of a read on the setup.
Oh, he so desperately wants that fight. He knows players just around the corner. It's going to be Grek and Slacks. Between the two of them, don't have any utility to fend this one off. Just a flash for Sin, but he's nowhere to be found right now on the other side of the map. Now making moves onto Cam. They're so slowly edging their way back over onto the middle portion of the map, and Thomasin, proving that patience is a virtue, holds his ground, and he delivers the first kill.
And this is where the collapse comes through on mid-side as well. More pressure being applied here for M80. Slacks needs to shut them down on the push. Can't be done. Noxie beheads the first. Rest of the squad on rapid response, running on up. It's Lake living lavishly with a USP. Good for the first connection. Noxie uncomfortable on the backup. He's caught by Sin, and they're running away back towards the other bomb site, leaving you scratching your heads by the time you realize that Zoc's already punched in the digits, and they're now in a 2 versus 3 post plant.
Oh, he's heard the footsteps too in Temple. He knows at least 2 players are over here. Flashbang was faked by that decoy, and now they push in. Zoc is up to the task alongside Naz to deliver one fatal blow, but the bomb is planted on the wrong side of the site. Naz needs to kill quick, and it wouldn't have changed the outcome anyway. Lake had Sin defusing fully right behind him, and the full house of frags, him with 3 and Sin with 2. See M80 get their second consecutive pistol.
And with how many pistols Bestia have been able to pick up over the course of this series, the amount of stock that's given them, finding a pistol round here into the third map is gigantic for M80, especially with the start we saw. Off the back of the info play deep into A main, the unchecked angle. I was getting a bit worried for them. Even looked like they were going to make it work on the late rotate back off. Nearly found a way to steal it away on the B-bomb site. But not this time. So Bestia, off the back of the slight bloat of cash she'll take from the bomb plant. They grab themselves some Tech 9s and go for the instant engage. Running on in. 1-for-1 trades each and every fight though. Equalized instantly. 3 versus 3. Sin backs off. Noxie finds his window in, but they know to spam. Direct on target. Silences him and puts him back in the grave.
Oh, grenade is a lot of damage though. Naz pays the penance for the bomb plant. The penalty, though, not quite death just yet, as Thomasin, 1-on-3, may line up for the young star, but he's unable to deliver as the leaping across player baits out the bullets, and Sin will seal the deal for the 2-0 lead. 2 consecutive post plants go in favor of M80. A 4K in the round for Sin, starting incredibly strong.
As much as we were talking about Slacks as well, it was him and Sin that were struggling. They were the 2 players that looked like they were having a rough performance at the RMR. So Sin starting things off with 6 kills bodes a whole lot better. Gives him some confidence back in himself. It means that you can set up a buffer of rounds here. Taking bomb plant, sure. You need to get yourself rounds. Tech 9, scout in the hands of Noxie. They've got flashes for it. It was a quick pace pop into B-bomb site last time around. Here you're setting up, looking for potentially some aggression to come out from M80. And Swisher flashed out to clear. Get a read onto where they are, see if he can spot them and set up in the off angle.
Flash is good, and the follow-up damage is there. Zoc affected by it. Swisher wants to try and scamper off and save his life, and Lake will afford him that luxury. Doubles down with his A1S. And Luchov forever lurking, about to come out into the light. And Lake will vaporize him with the M4. Tomazin with 1, low HP, and will be finished off. And at the risk of sounding like a bit of a broken record here, Jackie, last time they faced off against each other on Anubis, Tomazin, a 2.79 rating on his T side with 150 ADR. There is a reoccurring theme, I feel like, with this man on T sides.
Yeah, it's where he absolutely thrives. He can live his movie, be the star of the show. But will he arrive on the red carpet here into the 4th round, or will it take some time? 3-0 so far. But finally, rifles to work with. Early utility thrown out. Get a bit of a bait play towards the B site. Make them believe there's potentially more than what's really lurking outside, as everyone is situating themselves round towards A main. Close inside of the smoke, though. The CTs go for the info play. They want to fight for the control. Close grouping. Oh, timing on it could be rough. Switching with the utility, but Rek, he'll connect. And Luchov laid out.
Yeah, great buddy system there. Rek doing the heavy lifting as he got caught in an awkward spot. 3 HP separates him from his demise, but with that smoke being positioned perfectly onto main, it will allow them to recuperate and send in some reinforcements. A 3rd and 4th player have now joined the A-site defense.
Tomazin. Oh, spraying into the back. Finds the head of Sin. Swishes on the side with the MP9 up close, but not able to connect on the shots and can't close it. Lake spams through, taking snapshots from camera. But in reality, site control taken in the 1v3. Bestia look to have found themselves an answer on how to take a round on the T side. All it took was the guns.
What's especially bleak about that as well is they had the correct call. Like, they sent over 4 players onto the A site, and still Tomazin effectively just walks around the corner, nails 2, and the round is done. That'll be a bit of a shock to the system if you're M80. As Lake, trading up to the AK, will be backing away and saving for the next round coming up. A lot of back and forth and frags across the 2 teams. So the economy of M80's not in the greatest of shapes. They'll be able to scrape together a buy, but it's not going to be ideal, and they know the importance of keeping that economy strong.
You can see Tomazin, as soon as he saw that window of opportunity, straight in with the snapshots. Good reply. It was a nice opening play. They got the first pick, tried to deviate back from it, play the numbers game. Doesn't work out. I mean, we saw M80 taking a ton of opening duels as well back on Mirage, but it was the conversion of those rounds that was really problematic for them.
They've been caught twice now pushing outside of A main. Tomazin with the Tech 9 and then the AK in that previous round has really dealt some serious damage from that spot, so it's going to be something that M80 need to be cognizant of going forward. Yeah, it is the mark of a player that's feeling confident. No second guessing. Once you've made your decision, you follow through and you execute flawlessly, and that's what he's done time after time. A slow peek into the AWP could be death. And Slack shoots right down the middle. That baited out shot is going to force him away from cams alongside the flash. So mid-control now falling underside of T. And they can use that to drop down from the window and quickly wrap around onto the B site, but there is a lurk in play. Swisher in position, but Naz sends him packing. Insta headshot.
That's nice to see as well. We were worried Naz might not have a similar performance to what he showed us in the previous map, but that is a snapshot. And it gives them so much more room to breathe. Running out into the bomb site, they get the info, visual contact into deep CT. Talking to what the CTs are up to, though, when it comes to the rotate, setting themselves up outside of the site. anyone gives them a look in, maybe a pick, you could dabble off the back of it, but in reality, just play for the exits. So BESTIA getting closer to equalizing things.
Oh, looking for some exits right now, but Naz may have ran into the wrong neighborhood. Gets a 1-for-1 trade, definitely worthwhile from the T's perspective. Going to weaken that buy into the next round, or lack thereof, from M80. Mentioned before about how the economy was looking a little bit shaky. Swisher and Sin both at $2,000. But with 3 save weapons, they can drop across. Have a pretty decent buy all the same. Maybe a lack of utility here or there. See if they decide to go for it. To be fair, they may just hold fire and just keep 3 weapons and have another buy into the next one instead. There are options available for M80.
Tactical pause from BESTIA. Call it in here going into the 6. You know, there's weapons in play. The strats come out, conversations begin. The boon is there, though. The AWP on Slacks, a weapon that can be incredibly powerful when he's playing his game, when he's on form. We've seen shades of it in the past, but obviously, as we've seen throughout the course of this series, this RMR, it's been a couple of question marks, a couple of rough engagements. Can't afford those here, Vince. There's no room for error.
Yeah, 0.86 rating coming into this match. The stats don't lie. It has been a rough RMR for Slacks. This would be an incredible moment for him to rise above that and show us what he's truly capable of. So they decide not to fully invest. There was a Tech 9 surplus that's been dropped across to Sin, meaning Swisher is just on the USP, and I do like the aggression here. Try and mix it up just a little bit. The smoke will allow him to peek down. It's slightly off, and he gets punished because of it. The lurk smoke gives away the play. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Yeah, that one stings. Oh boy. Sin runs back in, scavenges the weapon off the corpse, but Luchov looking for the heavy uppercut. Can't find it. Wreck postures back as well, trying to play defense. Tom is in, crisp as ever. Snapshot back up. Sin with a saved AWP. Is he going to be able to make a play? He's already found one. Smoked off inside a camera. Fires out the warning flare, begins to back off. They expand themselves on the site as well and set up in the post plants.
It'll be worth saving again. Honestly, you got 2 AKs, no real hope of breaching back into the site. You also only have the 1 kit and 2 smokes to play with. So it makes perfect sense to me to just call for this round and go back and save and come back in stronger. Yeah, that play through middle was a really awkward one. I'm surprised they're even setting up this close. And that Lake is going back in again, probably anticipating they're not expecting him to push in at this position. Oh, Lake! He's had a nightmare. And Naz has put him under once more. You had 2 AK-47s, M80. I don't understand why they're not backing out. The money is already decent for BESTIA. It's not like you're going to get them on the Tech 9s or, like, you know, a couple of Deagles or something. The risk is not worth the reward.
That's far worse for you. Far worse for you than it would have been. Even if they did find the kills. Oh, mate. Lake's been the one that's been so crisp as well in a lot of the encounters, but they're just spamming around the edge, the outline. The chalk spray from the AK, but he's the dead man at the end of the round. And Luchov, usually lurking this time, playing with aggression and pace, straight in. Sin's going to be frustrated from that, and he won't slow down for anyone. Run straight through camera, snap back from Wreck, but it's only good for a single pickup, and they're already on the site.
Love that turn of pace. Especially with the casualties that were put forth, they would have known that M80 would have been lacking a bit of utility and unlikely to throw it early on in the round, catching them completely and utterly unaware. And it will be yet another save, and this time, they're going to fully commit to it. Lake's got himself 1. Up to 9 kills now, but a lot of them have been exit frags, to be honest. Not really the most impactful of 9 kills that you'll see. It will put BESTIA in the lead. 4-3 in their favor. And that's the kind of play as well that's going to condition M80 for future rounds to put someone in middle, maybe throw down smokes and Molotovs down early on as well, because you're not sure, are we going to get back to 10 rushed again? Is this another round where we just suddenly have players in camp?
You talk about the impact value of the kills as well for Lake there. It's the other man in Sin that obviously, the kills he was finding, they were utilizing those to convert rounds, but of course he's cooled off a little bit. In the past 2, still stuck on 9. Fair enough, now is the opportunity to call in that pause. With the rounds not really going your way, and still weaponry to play with, call it in. Give Def that opportunity again to instill some faith back in the troops, figure out a winning formula. The one sign of aggression we saw with Slacks on the AWP, he was trying to take the peak down. Look for the opener on stairs, peeking towards the water. Smoke went too far, he gets shot in the back of the head. Sin had to grab the gun, tried to make a play. Kept the gun alive, sure, but nothing more came from it. Counterpoint to that as well. Noxy, it's been mostly rifles, MAC-10s. Now he gets his signature weapon again. Slacks, this time, round towards connector, peeking in through dark. Takes the fast face down. Already beating him on the timing to get ahead of it, but he'll charge straight up if they're ready for this one. Nade slows them. He sees it. Good opportunity to get the opener, and that one doesn't go wrong for him. Connection onto Luchov.
I love that M80 are at least being proactive. They're not just sat back and absorbing all the pressure. They're actually taking the fight to Bestia as well. We saw that flubbed, fumbled attempt at the look, smoke into window peek. That didn't work out, but at least they weren't put off by that. They get the pick, they run, they have the advantage. That's exactly what M80 desperately required. Now it's important that Slacks hits this next one. Quick peek, quick death. He is in an awkward spot now, going to get found from the back, and that's going to be Zoc that puts him out. But Swisher with the ability to maybe withhold the sight. It's only 1 kill, but a lot of damage to Zoc in his post plant. Should favor M80, but Noxy's still in this with his AWP.
Been a lot of saves, a lot of rounds they feel uncomfortable in, but this is one you have a fair fighting chance to make a maneuver. Ooh, especially with Rek catching the info on the back there of Noxy. They use the utility to make it more uncomfortable for him. They've got time to slowly skulk their way back up. Unscopes on the peak towards CT. Turns around though. Rek gets ruined. And Lake all dried up. Sin, the last one on the site. They had an opportunity, but it's gone.
That is a disgusting double from Noxy. Securing the round in the blink of an eye. It is a 5-3 score in favor of the T's. I mean, that first shot was quick, but the second one up to scratch too. Definitely winning out in the Battle of the AWPers right now, I think it's safe to say. That is rapid, but look at this shot as well. Adjusting with a slight air of verticality on top of it up to temple. M80 aren't completely destroyed by that. They can get a buy-in. It is a T-sided map, Jackie. We have to put that into context as well. And as good as Thomasin is on the T half, it's actually a little bit weaker when it comes to the CT side of Anubis. So if M80 can hold on there, they can hang in. There is still light at the end of the tunnel.
Go for the boost, walk out for the face, and it works. Slacks has been switching it up in terms of the positions he's been fighting from with the scope, keeping him guessing. And that one will catch Noxy off guard. Close grouping inside of the smoke towards A. Rek throws out the incendiary, but the timing, it's already allowed Thomasin into the bomb site. Trade back from Lake. 4 versus 2. Gigantic manpower advantage. And with Zoc on the run, it should finally be another round for M80. They took 3 on the spin off the back of the pistol. There's been a drought since that point. Well, unless the Rock'em Zock'em robot can do something ridiculous here, Vince, this should at least be another one. 4 on the board for M80.
It has the bomb. They can buy again into the next round regardless of what happens at this point, but obviously you don't really want to gift wrap an AK across the CTs on top of everything else. But it's well worth the gamble. The reward is vast. If you can take a player or 2 down, the economy is affected significantly for M80. Incendiary out from the CTs. Zoc making moves is going to be heard from a mile off, and Slacks a chance to put an end to this round, and he will not miss out. 5-4 the score. Much better on M80. Stabilizing just a tad, but they still have to deal with more AKs coming right at them in round 10.
This was the peak from the perspective of Slacks, taking the wide swing out, totem pole face. They shut down control of A main as well. It's been a bit scrappy. 9 times out of 10, it feels like it's gone Bestia's way with Thomasin being able to create space for them. Slacks again, keeps you guessing. Roaming the AWP around. Early utility to control towards Dark. Rex looks for the face. Ooh, spam through the wall. 14 HP, scurries out of there, stays alive. That's what matters.
Yeah, exactly. It's keeping that player advantage, but additionally having 2 players to watch out on the main and cam side respectively, because they have 3 players over on B. If that's a 1-4 trade, they're going to have to send a rotational element off of the B side. So huge they've kept both players alive in that trade. Now a smoke. Oh, they're going to go for a peek here? Oh, this is so audacious. This is so cheeky. And he gets him. Noxy dead and buried. And Lake just pulls the plug, pieces out of there, giving his team the advantage. But Thomasin will not allow him any further part of this round. A bit of a flub Molotov, though, is going to cost them. And now they make a B track over onto the A side of the map, but they can't do it just yet because Zoc's actually isolated from his teammate. They fake it out more than anything else, and they're hoping and praying that Zoc and Thomasin can get that next entry.
Fake noise, go for the wrap back in, but it's all about the shots. Oh my. Thomasin and Rurk somehow connecting those. As Zoc hits a hefty blow, and it's down to Rek and Slacks. Zoc watching for the back line, setting himself up. And Slacks that comes out through Temple side. Wrap around the rear. Hang on a minute. Oh, this could be brutal. Thomasin knows exactly where he is, lines up the tap down, Rek so low, last man on the site. If he walks into the crosshair, should be a simple tap from Zoc. The head comes off, and it's another round for them. How have they converted that one?
That was a 2 versus 4, a 5 versus 3, both in favor of M80. They got the pick and run on A main, the pick and run on B main, and then Thomasin and Zoc just put the sword to them. That is a brutal body blow. A punch straight to the gut if you're M80. Not just the confidence, to the economy, to the overall stature of how this half is shaping up. Ridiculous again from Thomasin. Perfect read of the situation and kept composed and calm throughout. And now they're picking up the pace. It's going to be a straight up A hit. Straight through main, straight to the jugular and throat of M80. And Rek is pierced in the process. It could honestly be a save straight up, Jackie. They can't really afford going in for this.
Got to give it up. Got to give up another round. 7 on the board for Bestia because of it, just off of the 1 entry kill onto Rek, unable to post any damage, any frags to buy time, to give his team a reason to want to go for the retake here. And they're coming alive again, Vince. This is Thomasin with 11 frags. The rest of the squad as well, the 2 players that we touched on that really stepped up on Mirage, right? Zoc had his rounds, Naz had his rounds. Again here, they're being able to find that opening. When it comes down to a clutch tap, they're delivering.
I love the mixture of calling from Bestia. They've had their slow and steady and diligent, almost apprehensive rounds, taking every single second off the clock, and then we've had 2 straight up rushes. And both times it's worked a charm. You would have hoped from Rek's perspective he at least got 1 out of that. A 1-4 trade could have gave them something to play with. But that being said, both teams do their best work on the T side. And if M80 can pick up this 5th, it would not be a bad half at all. Sure, they won the pistol and the bulk of these rifle rounds have gone the way of Bestia, but they're still in the fight. I think that 2v4, though, could come back to haunt them at the end of this match.
It's a horrific memory to have to replay in your mind, but Lake, he's living in the here and now, out of ammunition though. Runs dry. Couldn't pick up free, but Sin able to spam back through the smoke. Sever Zoc from the rest of the team. Noxy on the walkout, head spotted. Sticking through the top of the smoke, and Thomas is caught on rotation. 7-5. One extra round at the end of the half. Makes it a whole lot better for them though. Would have been a damning scoreline. And this is with them taking the opening pistol as well.
Stellar work by Lake though, man. Those 2 kills and a bunch of damage to the third player was the difference maker. That's what they were hoping for from Rek in the previous round. Just a kill or 2 makes the world of difference. But like you said, he's living in the here and now, in the present. It doesn't matter what happened last time these teams met each other. It doesn't matter. It's a 2-0 in favor of Bestia when it comes to this head-to-head matchup on Anubis. None of that matters. It's quite simple. The loser of this map is gone. Their major dream is dead. The winner still has to wait it out a little bit and see how the rest of today's games go.
There are a lot of important results that could affect if you take that 6th place or if you have to play for the 7th place decider towards the end of the day. But all you can do is win the game that's in front of you. Send the other team home and still have a chance. Bestia, the entire squad is looking to make their debut major. And with Thomasin's performance, that dream could very well become a reality. But for M80, it's not the end of the world. I mean, 7-5, pistol here. Close the distance, get back into the groove of things. What have they got for us here into the second half? Sin initially taking damage from the peek out. 2 players facing round through dark side. It's Lake that closes the distance. Get up close, tuck in, support with Rek and Co as well.
Yeah, try and activate Lake wherever possible. The guy is feeling it right now, and there's another one. Add it to the slew of kills, up to 14 already. They've lost Swisher. Had a bit of a rough map so far. But they're just going to pile straight out onto the site. Thomasin and Luchov, though, laying them down with the USP. And Luchov spins left and right, decapitating foes. The executioner for Bestia. And what an important round that is to pop off.
That is beautiful. Corker of a round from them. Hell of a moment to snap back into it as well. Final shot onto Slacks. Oh, it's the loudest we've seen him being. And fair play, Vince, right? That's the exact moment you would want to start screaming. You know how much that second half pistol means?
Oh, they know that's just put them a giant leap towards the major. That is a huge, massive step forward towards the finish line, towards dreams being realized. There's still a lot of twists and turns today, though, potentially for Bestia, but they've put themselves in the best possible position right now. It's full Glocks, no post plant means no buy. Bestia surely gonna take a 9th and put some serious daylight between them and M80. All 5 players clumped together as they run out into a crossfire. And those bullets, well, they will lay waste to the T ambitions of a post plant. Just the 1 kill in return, and Bestia will be very happy about that outcome.
For M80, it's a round that could have a knock-on effect. Bestia know this, calling in the tactical timeout, opportunity to discuss it here. Rifles in the hands of M80 on their T side. But the defensive plays. And the majority of the squad stepping up massively as well. It's looking good for Bestia. Noxy's still relatively quiet with the AWP, but hey, I mean, if his teammates can do this sort of damage, it might not matter as much.
Naz making sure he's nice and hydrated. Sure, there'll be some shaky hands, some sweaty palms right now between these 10 players and the coaches, of course.
Yeah.
And the families watching on. It means so much to so many. But here we go. AKs in tow for the entirety of M80. They won't get many more opportunities if this goes awry. The pressure swelling to fever pitch. A potential fulcrum point of this entire tournament for both teams. And Rek is slowly maneuvering his way in, has the MP9 to play up against. Zok with one pretty clean kill, and does a ton of damage to Slacks as well.
He softened them up and was hoping Noxy would blow them all away, but they bail out on the game plan. They show a bit of stock round towards A main initially, and then call it quits. 4 versus 4. There's a lot you could do with this on the T side of Anubis for M80. Nouns trying to take space back towards mid side. Doesn't overstep the mark. Molly comes in, gives him a bit of a read, knows there's 2 players here now.
No point in posting yourself up close there. Nouns will back away. Gives him that faster rotation to be as well, which will be required. We have the benefit, the luxury of seeing that coming to pass as the wall of smoke's about to be built dead center on Anubis. Try and isolate, segregate these CTs from one another, but they're not pulling the trigger just yet. They're allowing Lake to make moves over on A main side. He is flanking. He's waiting for rotations and try and backstab them. 30 seconds, though. At some point, M80 have to push forward. Lake trying to draw away one of those players, and it has been successful. This leaves Naz all by himself, using that smoke as a bit of a reprieve, but Sin shuts him down.
That's the door open, but Luchov, he's made some major moves before. Nade bouncing around the corner, lucky to be alive. Low HP on Slacks, but the same cannot be said for Sin. Down and out. All Swisher on the bomb site, and no more showmanship. He's had some nice rounds, some nice flicks, but in this one, it's all Bestia again. Retake goes flawlessly. And from 9, they move on to 10.
Oh, an awkward middle ground economy as well for M80. Mid to high $3,000, except Sin, who's on that $4,200 mark. So it's going to be Tech9 half buy. Maybe a Deagle thrown in the mix. Oh, got a Galil on Lake. So a bit more firepower, but still nothing significant, nothing too crazy. Is this where we see M80 throw caution to the wind and try and get up close and personal? We saw Bestia have a lot of success with those Hail Mary rounds a couple of times. Do M80 have that in the locker?
Go for the boost up, take a peek in. Break the smoke, no overextension though. It's Thomasin on the receiving end of things. With how much damage this man can do, taking the fight to him head on might not be the best course of action. He'll deviate further back, use the utility that he's got available, still an incendiary in the pockets.
There's no Molotovs, apart from Sin. So these angles that Thomasin and Zok have are so potent, so deadly. And they're going to go in this one without any preemptive nades. It should be a bloodbath. It should be a massacre. And it's a 3-for-1 trade. The bodied litters all over the floor for M80. And that Galil is being whittled down by shrapnel and now bullets. And Zok claims another life. And Rek with it all to do. He may have got the forward positioning over on the site, but he has no bomb to play with. And therefore no chips to lay down. He gets smoked out, going to try and bypass that one, draws out the fire, but he's going to get shut down in the back. Tag to 25. Noxy misses his chance, and he does get punished. But there's only 20 seconds, and on low HP, Rek should be a dead man the second he comes out into the open through cams. He's anticipating this peak. But no reason for Zok to make moves while Luchov is still alive. And the curtain comes down. 11-5. Bestia 2 rounds away from eliminating M80.
Reaching a fever pitch now. Tension at an all-time high for them. From a 13-7 way back on Dust2, it has been a slippery slope. Bestia replied on Mirage, looking confident with a 13-4. And a majority lead here. Round 17. We get back into things. AWP apiece, one for Noxy, the other in the hands of Slacks. On the T side, is there room for him to spread his wings, find a way in? the CTs, though, it's aggression again towards A main, putting a little bit more pressure on. Noxy up close, pre-scope, no audio cue. Oh! Sees the wince on the face of Lake as he puts the barrel in his mouth.
Exquisite shot. No damage inflicted across to him. Or nothing significant, just one chip is removed. And immediately, the top player on this map is suppressed. Extinguishing the life of Lake very well could mean the rest of M80 follow. As the smoke clears, Slacks will get the drop. But that's one of many. Molotov to Glyph is going to be good. Should affect Naz. He has to get out of there. In fact, he doesn't fully extend. He's able to just stand in there the whole time. There's a flash tossed in as well, and it baits them into a false sense of security. Rek, though, comes in and cleans up. And now Luchov, forever in position to deliver death, is sent home for this round. But Thomason's actually managed to sneak his way in. I don't think they realize he's in this off angle right now. He's going to get the drop onto the upper, but now they know exactly where he is. And Slacks will evade any further death in this round for M80. They live to tell the tale, Jackie. 11-6. But my God, that was close.
They look terrifying. When he's in the back of the site, Molly doesn't spread, he gets the first kill. Whew. Even Thomas in that sort of position. He's been a hell of a playmaker. It's not the end of the world for them, but for M80 it means so much to pick these up. Bestia have to make concessions though on the buy. Noxy with the AWP, Zoc on the M4. And it's Thomas in the MP9 that is running straight into their faces. Good adjustment shot from Slacks. Here we go. Starting to come alive on Anubis.
Give the man credit. He's had a rough go of it over the last couple of days, but he is delivering now when it really counts the most. 14 kills. Nice shot onto Thomason as well. He was mid-air and just plucked him out with the headshot and then followed up with a kill onto Con. In doing so, the 11-7 is looking good, and this was a full committal, a full investment from Bestia, who would be onto an eco. But you can't overlook this because they're about to push out of main. The timing here could be so vitally important. 2 kills go the way, nearly a third on top of it. And although they hemorrhage bodies and lives, M80 still have the advantage. That did not go anywhere near as clean as they were hoping for. And Luchov now has a chance. But I think, is he deciding to just save the AWP instead? Or he doesn't fancy this 2v1?
A slight instance of cutting noise, making him wrap off towards the B bomb site, leading him to believe potentially they had gone for the lurk back. Fast wrap round through dark. And now it's too far too gone. No reason to hang around anymore. He will full commit to the save, hold on to the AWP. Smoke, HE and the armor. But that looked terrifying. The walk out through A main. Just back and forth blows, man. The fact they get away with so many kills.
I was getting very nervous for M80 there, you know, because you got a 5-7 and an M4, and the only real play that they could have pulled off to clutch that round out was exactly what they did. And it's like the T's, because they were bottlenecked in this really weird claustrophobic engagement, they were kind of tripping over each other. You don't want a team kill, you don't want to start popping your teammates in the back of the head. So that carnage really did favor Bestia. Fortunately, the superior firepower and numbers got M80 across the line first. But they need to do that 4 more times just to tie us up at even. And they will still need to contend with the AWP. Back in the very capable hands of Noxy. 5-7 for Luchov with a little bit of utility across the board sprinkled in on top of it. So M80, they looked dead and buried. Maybe a second wind here. A second lease of life afforded across to the T's.
And it's Slacks that's starting to dig them out of that grave. Noxy, he needs to make plays like his counter has been doing, with a hero AWP in his hands. Pre-scoped up. Has a little clear round towards carpet side. There is a player there. It's going to be wrecked. It's just lurking in position. Meanwhile, bleeding out through middle. They spot the info. Zoc's got the information now as Lake makes the move over, tucks in back towards the box side. Nade thrown out from Luchov. Try and soften them up a little bit. You need them to play into your hands, though. They've got to get up close and personal to put those pistols to good use. Noxie could wrap out, look for the dedicated save. Everyone else could attempt to make plays with the pistols. Wouldn't be that bad if they go down, but any weapons they take out of their hands is the dream scenario.
Yeah, you expect it's going to be a save from Luchov and Noxie, as Luchov has the 5-7, but more importantly, the kits. And he can safeguard for his AWPer. And then the other two are just basically expendable. Naz and Thomasin, why not? But Noxie's been caught. He's been surrounded on the site. I don't know what Lake was looking for, but he's not found it. He's only found death. And it's another scrappy, damage-ridden round for M80. They have lost 3 players. How is Thomasin still alive with that USP? Man. That's 2 rounds in a row. M80 should have been clear. They should have been out with maybe 1 casualty, worst case scenario, and they're sweating and they're desperately trying to get themselves the victory. Jeez.
Yeah, man, that was a rough one. Lake looking a bit lost in the source on the peak back down towards the bomb site. Gave Noxie the opportunity to get the 1 shot off, and then Thomasin taking liberties with the USP. Bestia, they're showing they're not going down easy. You've got to fight for this one, M80. Round 20 live, 11-8 being the split on the scoreline. MP9 for Noxie this time, no scope. Everyone else, though, with the rifles to play with.
Good damage to kick things off, though, on the side of Bestia. Wreck tagged down to 53 off a HE, I think it was. Meanwhile, Noxie also feeling a little bit worse for wear. M80 may have been fighting for every single round, clawing each inch forward, but they have brought it back to a winnable position now. They know the economy is hanging by the thinnest of margins. Luchov wants to try and get outside there. Smoke comes down, but it's the first frag that goes in favor of M80. A clean kill on Noxie. A bit of damage there onto Zoc as well through the double doors. And with having mid-control, it does give them options to quickly rotate through onto B or A, depending on how they're feeling. Zoc up close, but he's not finding any intel for his teammates other than just clearing out this angle.
Nades in. Jiggle on the peak. Jump up towards the back line. Luchov. He'll get the opener as Swisher goes down. Thomasin able to activate as well, and they're edging themselves closer to that 12th round. Rek replies back down towards Dark. Puts a little bit more pressure on the split. They have 2 angles to attack towards the bomb site now. And Sin, he's out, brawling in the middle of the site, looking for peaks. Rek assists, Zoc's gone. Slack slays on Naz, and Thomasin, the hero for Bestia, unable to clutch this one.
Oh, he was landing jabs here and there, but he didn't quite have the power packed behind it. Tagging Slacks down to 16. A player of his caliber, you felt like he had a chance.
Yeah.
And another snatch round for M80. Another opportunity to roll over an eco round. But what we've seen time and time again, though, Jackie, even against these USPs, these 5-7s, these awkward buys, is they have struggled to get it done clean. So do not write Bestia off. They've got Deagles, they've got an MP9, and quite a bit of utility on top of it. They can delay this round for quite some time.
Play it slow. Avoid getting up close into the face of the pistols in that lethal range. Especially the 5-7s on Zoc and Naz. They can leave you slumped down in your seat with a nice tap to the head. So M80 showing a bit of presence around the map, throwing in the nades, chip damage onto Naz, leaves him on 17. And Lake's just been waiting for a swing to come towards mid. No one will give him that luxury as they're grouped up with 3 players on B. One in camera being Thomasin with the MP9, the other supporting him is Zoc.
Much more streamlined, collective effort this time around from M80. That flashbang is so good. And Sin will make the most of it as he doubles up. Luchov tries he may with a Deagle. Can only nail the 1 headshot. And that is M80 on the fast track to the site. Have to deal with Naz first. Bomb has been fumbled on the ground, but Slacks is there to pick up the pieces. Double Tech 9, double digits for M80. 1 round deficit. Oof, that pressure, I can't imagine how Bestia must be feeling right now. I wouldn't be surprised if they called a timeout, and there it is. Makes perfect sense. Calm things down.
Well, the storyline between those two AWPers is obviously both of them underperforming, really coming into the series of what you'd expect. Lowest rated on the teams and needing a performance. For Slacks, he certainly found that. He was taking initiative, going for peaks, coming alive here now as well with some very important connections. But Noxy, he's got the AWP again, Vince. The difference is, it feels like he hasn't broken that curse. He hasn't been able to suddenly bloom into this beast, and they need that.
I think the only time we saw a glimpse of that was that double he got from Con, those 2 flicks.
Yeah.
Was a really important play, massively impactful because it saved them the bomb. They planted, they were in a post plant when he pulled it off, but there is definitely a gulf in impact between him and Slacks, who's on 17. Has been putting that AWP to use. Strangely enough, it's Swisher that's falling behind, and he has been so good for M80 over this tournament. He's their top performing player by quite a margin. So you have to think they've got a sleeping giant there in him. They may start to awaken. Could be the difference maker, especially if we start to get towards OT, which that's not off the cards just yet. Molotov comes in, forces Noxy away. Rek flashed out, and a smoke in his eyes as well. They're still going to pull the trigger on this one, it looks like. Nading open the smoke, trying to get onto the open, but Zoc is there. HE in hand, but the M4 spray is good.
Rek left totaled on the bomb site. And Naz on the engagement, good for some damage. Slack still alive and striking back with a sniper. Lake sets Noxy ablaze, and it's getting carnage on the bomb site. Sin causing problems. Murders his way through 2, and Swisher with the final piece grabs that one and takes them to 11.
Man, this is more like the Sin that we expect to see.
Oh, yeah.
Show up and deliver. He started strong on this map. He was 7-0 at one point, and we've gone full circle. How important those kills could end up being. We go back to that 2v4 that they lost. We thought that might be the difference maker. But that is a thing of the past. And in the here and now, M80 on the fast track to breaking the hearts of Bestia. It's another rough buy coming in for the South Americans. 3 M4s, but 2 MP9s.
Trying to push the extremities, take control. Fight out through A. The damage, though. It's a big blow to Luchov and Naz early into the round. 68 and 37 HP between them. And M80. They group themselves back up. Ton of time on the round, not even hit the minute mark yet. Utilities there for them. Slacks his AWP that's been such a reinvigorating weapon. Still firmly in his hands. Walk up from Noxy, supported by Luchov. Rek unable to get the drop on them. And the potential early damage makes it slightly easier to convert with those MP9s, and especially those M4s on a run out as well with the dink onto Swisher. Still a lot to be said for this one. It's not going to go over easy.
I absolutely love that call from Bestia, though. They have no utility left. They have a lacking of firepower. They know they have to be proactive. They've got to do something to turn the tide in their favor of this round. They've done just that. The time at minus 30 seconds on the clock. But Lake has struck. Luchov caught in transition, unaware. Silence down, and with a smoke in the eyes, they're going to try and push through here and see if they can envelop the site. That much is already done. The invasion has begun, and now it's up to the CTs to reclaim what was once theirs, but Swisher and Sin say no. As they deliver with 2, Swisher falls down, but Sin, oh, he gets 1. Down into the one-on-one. Slacks, spotting the player, rushing the shot, but the bomb is planted on his side of the site. And there is no kit for Noxy. Oh, this round should be done. Slacks just needs to play time. Noxy caught in such a bad spot right now, but comes round with the MP9, sprays down the AWPer, and sticks on the bomb. It's going to be incredibly close, but he may just have this in time. Oh, oh, he's a second late.
Oh, the soul-crushing taste on that one. We're watching on, just waiting to see the outcome. So tight on time, he makes the play. Seconds of difference in M80. They get the round off the back of it, mate. That is brutal.
I cannot imagine being Noxy and the rest of Bestia there. You are about half a second away from taking match point. And the lack of kit made all the difference. I'm saying Slacks just has to play time, but he was in an awkward spot. And Noxy played it really well. Maybe a bit indecisive at the open of sort of 5 or 6 seconds, but... oh my goodness. And then insult to injury, M80 are like, oh, does that one sting? We'll call a tactical timeout, make you think this one over a little bit more.
Oh. You can see the reaction there, the realization that the round was confirmed. And now Bestia, you've got to give absolutely everything. 24th round, overtime or bust. Your run at the RMRs would be over, the major dream would dissipate in front of your eyes, and M80 would continue onwards. Naz up close. Smoke out, but Sin beating the timing. He's really been coming alive. Had some sick sprays, some great taps. Here it's damage onto him. Naz barely burnt alive. He's able to tuck in, keep himself on the board, but it's only 16 HP.
And 3, make it 4 players have no grenades on the CT side. It's all centralized on Noxy. An incendiary and a flash to withstand 50 seconds on the timer. They may be in a familiar territory where they feel compelled to try and make a play. We saw this in the last round. 40 seconds now coming up on the clock as M80 start to make moves in. Now there's just one flash left. Luchov has it in his hands. And in come the T's. 2 players on A main will be pushing their way out. Rek needs to be eagle-eyed, trained onto the entrance. The timing may have worked in their favor. And Noxy comes in, delivers the hammer, drops it onto Lake. Naz also found in the meanwhile, and I'm not sure if Rek even realizes there's a player below him right now. That could be a key part of this round. But Rek, he's gone down and Sin's whiffed. There's a way back in and Bestia take it with both hands.
It could have been over, Vince. Could have been a 13-11 with M80 closing it. But Bestia, with some very important picks, keep themselves in the game, in the series here. And potentially in the runnings to make it to the Shanghai Major. And Noxy, man, he's had some rough rounds. But that one frag so important, the follow-up from Thomas in as well. And the engagement. Oh, the engagement on the wraparound from Beachside, man. How didn't he find the frag?
I think you'll be a bit devastated if you're M80, but you've got to put it in context. You were down and out.
One more.
It was 11-5 at one point in favor of Bestia. Put it into context, you made an amazing run to take us into OT. But now it's all about the here and now. They've got to do it in the present, Jackie. Once again, cast their minds away from what's happened up until this point. But there were a number of duels that realistically M80 probably should have won.
Yeah. It's the adrenaline as well. Like Noxy, getting that pick, he knew how important it was. You could see him shaking, going back into the second. The player cam's there as well, drinking the water, trying to calm himself down. Arms trembling. You've got to compose yourself instantly. You're still in it. Forget about everything over the course of this series. All that matters is what's happening here. Overtime is live. You're afforded some luxuries again. They've been playing with broken buys, lesser weapons. Now you've actually got firearms to your name. And more importantly to that, the utility as well. They've been doing it effectively dry, round in, round out. Close fight towards connector here. Camera going to be blocked off with the smoke as well. It's Luchov that's on the inside. Sin, he's been good with the flicks and he shows us that again. 1-for-1 trade though. Naz answers back.
That is the talisman of the T's down though, and he's got so many entries in these rounds. Now I need somebody else to pick up the baton and run towards victory. Lake a little bit slow, but not punished by Thomasin. Rack in the meanwhile hasn't played this angle as of yet, and this time he gets the upper hand on Zoc. That's been a trade going back and forth on both sides, but Thomasin finds the perfect window of opportunity and exploits it. Noxy also shutting down with the AWP. Suddenly Swisher and Slacks in a 2-on-3.
Oh, Slacks! A near miss, but one that's going to come back to haunt you as it's all on Swish. 35 seconds left on the clock. Bomb grabbed. Thomasin's bailed. Full wrap round through beach. Leave all the pressure on Swisher. He's got to clear his angles, burn a whole load of time off the clock. Naz is low, sure, but he's got backup arriving on the bomb site. And it's Noxy with the AWP. Cross onto the site, tap the bomb to force the face. 8 seconds though. No real time to do it unless he gets the picks, and they're not going to fight him into it. You can't secure the plant. The round's gone off the back of it.
Counter-terrorists win.
Stalemate at the end, but it's going to be Bestia with the best foot forward. Oh, key integral moments. Yeah, that miss from Slacks. It could have opened up business onto either side. It could have wrapped around us too. But it does not matter. Didn't come to fruition. A thing of the past. He's going to have an AWP again in play. And keep in mind, out of the 24 rounds, 10 of them were CT-sided. So already Bestia with a great advantage in their favor. HE's up and over, Rack in the exact same position as last time. Those grenades, though, going to be shielded by the boxes. So he's good to go and hold in fire early on.
Seeing if Bestia will go for an aggressive play, if anyone will show their hand. Meanwhile, towards middle, it's the push from Lake that results in a 1-for-1 trade. Zoc strikes back against him. 4 versus 4. They've still got nades to play with and time to make a decision. They can wrap off from it. It's Luchov inside of dark. Slacks walking up, knife in his hand. Switches back to the AWP at just the right time, prepared for the engagement. That one will silence Luchov, but Noxy on the back of the bomb site, progressively looking to make a play. Luckily enough, they find that follow-up onto Naz as well. We can't deny the time and slow down the push with a real maneuver in to secure the A sites. The bomb should be planted. All on Noxy and Zoc.
They're planted out in the open as well. It'll be so much more difficult for the CTs to clear the angles. Noxy never stood a chance, and both the remaining CTs eviscerated for a 13-13. And although 10 rounds in regulation went the way of the CTs, it doesn't sound that bad. Keep in mind, in both of those occasions, it was the CTs winning the pistol and starting their half at 3-0. So when it came to rifle rounds on the CT side, they were few and far between.
This round could make the world of difference for Bestia on their CT side. It's never going to be easy though. Even at the minute, right down the middle, 13-13. Slacks looking for a potentially aggressive play out through the site. Noxy, meanwhile, getting crisped up by the Molotov, brought down to just below 70 HP. Swisher and Sin could be the duo to deal deathly blows on the B site. Sin's been getting away with murder on the push up through dark. Exchange of nades, still trying to rattle down time though with the re-smoke, but Lake on the spam finds Naz. Luchov overwhelmed by Swisher. Thomasin, the talisman of the team, delivers for one.
Oh, defense is being deleted though. Where they stand, they're being slumped into position, and Swisher may have started slow, but just pops off with a 3K. Worth so much in the grand scheme of this best of 3. In the grand scheme of their major endeavors. Head in the hands of Naz. But again, their T side was looking sharp. That being said though, Jackie, it has been a considerable amount of time before they were on the T half. Have they slowed down? Can Thomasin pick the pace back up again?
Def, again, with an opportunity to talk to the troops. The change of body language on both teams has been quite miraculous throughout the course of this game. You've seen the highest of heights, the lowest of lows. Contending with individual mistakes, opportunities to close the game for M80s that slipped away from them. Awful lot running through your minds. We're back into it. Second half's going live. 1 round of advantage for M80. CT side now.
25 kills to the young gun himself, Thomasin. 105 ADR and 7 multi-kill rounds. 8 assists on top of his 25. He has been omnipresent for BESTIA throughout this RMR. But can he manage to turn it back on again now? He is deeply required. It'll be devastating for BESTIA if they come this close and lose out and face elimination. But that is the prospect that is lingering overhead right now as M80 take their positions on CT. They have Slacks already down on Con, waiting behind the smoke, but nothing is forthcoming. He's seen nobody on the cross. It's more of a mid-push as Molotovs proceed the peak from Naz, looking to annul any of the CTs lurking around in the shadows, and there is a missed smoke.
Luchov, flash over the top. Smoke up to block off towards the heaven side as well. Sim about to have pressure put onto him. 1-for-1 trade, shot in towards the back though. He swivels. Good connection. Swisher through the smoke, strikes back. Removes the head from Zoc. But Thomasin, up close, unchecked. Swisher didn't know. He gets the backstab because of it. And now you're in a 2v2 with time to get the plant down. Headshot angle on the stairs, taking the fight towards Lake.
Bomb has been planted.
He knows how important it is to wait for his teammate on this one. Posture out, buy time. Allow Slacks to try and cook, see if he can chef him up. He's got the blade in his hands, ready to make the incision. Meanwhile, it's Noxy on the front of the site. Lake looking for the backstab. He's seen the leg. Connects that one. All on Thomasin. He's been having some huge rounds. This would need to be a 4K. One step closer to that reality. Slacks on the weapon switch. Closing the distance, baiting him out. But the time is the real issue. Panicked, overwhelmed, down and out. Thomasin with another one. They equalize again, 14-14.
A 4K in the round for Thomasin on top of the clutch. He is having an unbelievable performance again for BESTIA. The shining light on Mirage illuminating the way again here on Anubis. But we're still yet to have one team fully pull away from the other. It's still tied up. 14 apiece. 16 the magic number. There's only so much that one man can do, but Thomasin is filling the quota and doing all the heavy lifting. He looks to assault again through an A main alongside Luchov and Naz. We know that they were so mixed up in their pace, their tempo all over the place in their T side. This time, they take a nade though straight to the face of Thomasin, and there's a second one. Down to 22, and he's not seen a single pixel. Runs out to the open with Luchov, and Rek is there to deliver. 2 big kills alongside Sin. And this round comes to an abrupt end. It's up to Zoc or Noxy to reignite and re-spark the push. And I don't think they're going to be given the opportunity. Because out comes Noxy through the smoke, and Lake pushes him away from the site.
Phases through on his own. Meanwhile, Zoc setting his attention on the other bomb site. Audio's going to be heard. Flashbang through dark. Might have a safe plant at the very least. Swisher could have an angle onto the back though, and that's the peek in. Zoc falls, M80 off of the great defense towards the site, are able to pick that one up.
They're making sure they're upgrading to as many AKs as possible before the inevitable defuse. M80, one more match point. Elimination beckoning for Bestia. They're going to have a solid purchase, of course. But what is the call here, Jackie? This is where your resolve, your fortitude is fully tested. They've never been to a major before. They've never been this close before. And yet they are facing the heartbreaking reality of being just taken out of the tournament right here, right now.
They faced this reality, and they were able to overcome it to force us into the overtime. But it comes right back around. Same position again. If they lose this, it's 16-14. It's all said and done. If they can run it right back, we could head into a second overtime. Still have a fighting chance, but it's up to their T-side performances. Thomasin's been going above and beyond time and time again. But M80 feels like the whole squad's starting to work in unison now. Showing what they're made of. Pressure applied towards mid early. Slacks on the peak down, but it's Noxy. Strikes against the sniper. Goes back in for more. Noxy with the double up. They still believe, Vince. They've still got room for this one.
Thomasin gets both. How the hell's he got the second out of that? Oh my God. Second overtime. Out of nowhere, Noxy just doubles up and Thomasin continues his godly form. 31 kills. Oh, M80 looked disheveled, dejected. They're thinking, how many times can they survive? That second shot from Thomasin must have been outrageous, by the way.
Yeah, but had to have been. Classic Thomasin, isn't it? Multi-kill to force them into the second OT, put himself on 31 kills. And Noxy, pressure cook around. Some AWPers in that situation, it gets to you. He delivers. First onto Slacks, then the follow-up to give them an even better situation to contend with. Looked like the easiest round of the bunch, and we run it straight back. Double OT.
The frustrating thing for Slacks as well is you think, like, I had a chance to kill him.
Yeah.
He was out in the open. The crosshair wasn't far off. How that could have changed the dynamic of this round, because Rec would not have pushed out of A main if they hadn't lost two players out there on Canals. Either way, whichever way you spin it, second OT coming right up. Both teams ready. Chomping at the bit to get back into the saddle and get some success. At some point, you've got to think that Thomasin's going to run out of steam. I keep thinking that of this guy, and it never happens. If anything, he just gets better as time goes on. But look at this. We've not seen a push like this the entire game, and it's going to catch him, but Slacks has missed his chance. He's going to capitalize, though, on the second time of asking, and uses that smoke as a shroud, as a reprieve, to piece out of there. A hit and run. Criminal activity, and he gets away with murder.
Smash and grab from Slacks. Opted to not go for the AWP into this round, play with the mobility, and it pays off massively. And Sin, he's been running rampant with the rifles again and again. Level of lethality that's been making a difference for the team. And that one kill might just very well be enough. Rec on the reply slows it down as Zoc is slumped out and Noxy dives onto the site for the plant. 2 versus 3 into the post plant. All the CTs heavy grouping. Wrapping back in from beachside. The last flash thrown in towards camera. Noxy combat AWPing. Oh boy. His skill ceiling has been rising. Starting to break through the roof. Saw them, but couldn't get the flick shot off in time. Thomasin, the beast of the team, again in position, but unable to deliver on this one as Slacks with the M4 connects the headshot. First round of the second OT is destined for M80.
It's theirs, but not without a couple of scares along the way. I mean, first off, I think Slacks' heart was probably in his mouth after he missed that first encounter. Made up for it with the second. And then here, yeah, as soon as it's in that 2v3 and Noxy nails the first shot, you're thinking, oh, they've let this one slip. Especially as Thomasin was the last man standing in main. proves he is mortal after all. And now M80 have the advantage one more time. Sin up to 29 frags. Slacks on 24. The top ADR though is still Thomasin over 105. With 9 multi-kills. The closest player is still on 7. Looks like they're going to be pressing the button though and getting hot and heavy in just a few moments. Over on the B side as a hail of smokes and molotovs are traded between the two teams.
A lot of noise being made. Looking for the full commit now on the run-up. Swisher. Just a tag, no conversion into the frag. Even the nade won't blow Luchov away, and Lake runs on in. Barely missing with a spam through the smoke. This time Wreck as well. Bested down in dark. It's Lake on the bomb site. They clear Sin. Re-peek onto it. Zoc finds that one. Slacks miles away from the action. Unable to get involved. And the metronome of this matchup continues to swing between both camps.
Considering Swisher down at just under $2,000, it would do well for Slacks to hold on to this AWP, although it's going to sting to do that. But yeah, that pendulum continues to ebb and flow back and forth. Ooh, nice re-peek. He's going to have to deal with Naz, though, who's coming through from the A side, and additionally Zoc, who's coming through from Canals. Peeks back in. He will be able to hold on to this. So he can drop across for Swisher. Lake can drop for Wreck. They should be good to go. Another incredibly important round coming up. These CT rounds have been difficult to muster up for both teams.
Quality of kills for Noxy has been rising. Oh, and he's close to having his head taken off. Would have been a short back and sides, courtesy of Slacks. But with the bullet barely missing, it's a stalemate on the peek out towards B, and they instantly posture off.
All 5 Ts beginning to shape up just outside of A main. Keeping their options available, peering into Canals as well. Luchov fires out a couple shots as it gave the game away. Well, for the time being, M80 have actually rotated all 3 players off onto middle. Now going to be isolated from the Molotov and the smoke that's tossed in. They've played very forward up on mid-side. This is effectively leaving Wreck all alone to defend the bomb site. And now the T's going to start to spill out to the open. The flashes are so good. He was blind for a good 5 seconds. And although they've wrapped around the back, the damage has already been done.
Bomb has been planted.
Site secure, setting themselves up for a 17th. We've been in this position before. 3 players on the push-up. Molly forces them back. Luchov burned to a crisp and spammed down by Lake. Close angle engagement for Thomasin. He thrives in these kind of environments. He wants to get aggro. He's waiting for the peek in, then he'll strike. Backstab's good for Lake. Zoc with 1. Fecken's found, but it's not enough. They jump straight on it. It's going to be tight on time, but M80, they'll grab this one again. They find the answer on the retake this time towards B. 2 rounds on the half.
Thomasin was outnumbered, outgunned. And although he posted up 1, it wasn't good enough. That's a really slick retake, though, for M80. It looked like they were gone in that round, all clumped together, rotating from the same position. But that fast flank from A main threw them completely unaware. Bestia just weren't sure which angle to cover most. And in all the chaos, M80 prevailed. And having the advantage moving onto their T half as well, this is a big boon to their prospects. Pensive, deep in thought now, are Bestia. This is where fatigue is going to start to creep in as well. They're playing a lot of Counter-Strike. How much do they want it? How much do they need this?
The opportunity, the legacy, everything that comes with it, the championship run that could potentially be ahead of them. Making the major a dream for many, specifically all 5 on Bestia. 8 of the 10 players in the server looking to make their debut one here. going into Perfect World Shanghai Major. And we're back in. That one round of edge from M80 now moving on to the T side. Slacks with the orb. Knows the location of Noxy on the peak out down towards Dark.
Reminiscent of that round where Tomazin pushed with the MP9 and got nailed in midair. This time, nearly gets fully savaged through the smoke. Down to 9 HP, has to back away. When you consider the impact that he's had round after round after round, that's going to force him to play more passively, more statically. And you want him to be aggressive. You want him to be taking plays, taking wide swings.
And this is the environment where the strap book's thrown out the window. The tendencies over the course of this map, it all starts to change due to the nature of the double OT. All about the frags, all about the plays, and Slacks, he's setting himself up. Oh, sees a bit of skin, but can't take the shot. Saved by the bell as Luchov slips back into the safety of the bomb site. A fadeaway blow for good measure. But with 30 seconds on the timer, they've got to make their decision and go for the hit towards the A site. Lake, he's coming in through camera. Flashes over the top. They see the man on the backup. It's Noxy. Bold maneuver. Trying to retreat. Caught by Rek. So much pressure thrown the way of Zoc. Only one. Camera is all snapshots going the way of M80. And Luchov left on the lurk, but Snacks knows. And M80, they get themselves back into a position they've been in time and time again.
But this time, it's a little bit different. They've had one match point. Now they've got two back-to-back. Bestia have saved twice, but not from this deficit. Not on the CT side. You could see the impact it had, though. Once Thomasin was low, they lacked that ability to take the initiative, to be proactive. And they were dissected and surgically removed as a result. Slacks, once again, watching into Con. But he's unsure as to whether A main was about to get pushed into. Even though Rek was there, there were Molotovs and flashes tossed out. Now a smoke plumes on the A main side. Eerie silence befalls the battlefield, but M80, they're looking for a bit of a fake here. They're going to toss a couple of nades in, try and draw away the rotations from A. 3 players outside of main are waiting.
Swisher through the smoke, looking for the walk in. Tried to find the gap to make the all-important play, but it's the rest of the squad on the run out. This is where they found so much success. Tom is in though. He's the one to defend. He repositions, tucks into the right-hand side, bait shots to force him out, but the snap is good. Oh, Tom is in. Here we go. Still continuing to find impact even into the OT. 3 kills here, 36 frags. Sin. Trap back towards the main side. Molly burning time off the clock. AK in his hands. Knows there's one towards heaven, but so many crosshairs honed on his angle. And with time ticking, likelihood of him getting much done on this one. Not looking good for him. Bestia could once again put themselves into a position where it's only one round. They have to survive to stay in the game.
Don't want to face him one by one, guys. He still is a threat. He's been playing well thus far, but Sin can only do so much by himself. Shut down. Another match point saved. Another elimination point avoided. How many times can they pull themselves out of this formidable challenge? Tom is in with the winning formula once again. They did bite down on the rotation as well. Like, it actually worked out, even though they lost. I think it was Swisher died very early on. But you obviously, when you run into Tomazin and he's in a position where he can just hold fire and turret in for a few kills, you're always in for a bad day.
Noxy through the smoke onto Swisher. Oh, that is outrageous. It's always these rounds. Whenever they need one all-important round to stay in the game, that's when he finds his impact. Oh, the difference having X-Ray would make in a situation like this. Sin and Luchov right in face of one another. And Slacks cracks one straight back onto Tomazin. That's the bomb in his hands out towards mid-side, supported by Lake. Again, the all-important plays towards A could continue in this matchup.
Now they're looking at another hero to step up. Looking at somebody to have that impact. They're going to be walking out slowly, peeking in. Slack's not going to miss that shot and spots a second player. He knows where one of these three currently reside, and they're going to just go straight up for the B site. Not waiting around, not allowing rotations to come in, and it puts all the pressure on Zoc here with the AK. No flashes preceding this peak. Could prove to be a costly fatal flaw, but Rek comes in with 2, and it could be the beginning of the end. As Naz in a 1-on-3 has to bypass the smoke and bypass 3 players that are desperately starving to make their way to the major. And Naz has no idea that he's on death's door, and Rek puts him down. Elimination for Bestia, and M80 live to fight later on today.
M80 will fight later today, maybe. Obviously, their fate is no longer in their hands, but they've done enough to make sure they're still in the game.